Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what I can do here. Go. What do I do? How do I do this? I feel like I'm like a new streamer or something. Usually there's a place to go, but now I'm a little bit lost here. What am I doing? Here it is. Open this link in a new tab. All right, open in browser. We're gonna put this over here. All right, we're live. We're live. We're live. So now I need to come over here. I need to go to setup, or what do I do? Here. Okay, there we go. Copy that. And then let's see. We're gonna copy that. And but sorry about all this. I'm just trying to figure out how to get my link up. I know I'm doing this the total wrong way. See, I don't think this is gonna mess us up too much, but I want to send myself a message. Here we go. Paste, send. All right, now I've sent. Hold on, I should be. Am I back? Let's see. Am I still connected? Let me see. Stream got disconnected for a second. I should be coming back here very soon. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm back. Good, good, good. All right. All right. So I think this would only be right if I took this message I just sent myself. Is this? All right. I'm gonna copy this. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I need to paste this here. God, that's disgusting. I gotta take that away. That's for sure. That's for sure. I don't want to do that. So, we're getting into it. We're gonna get into it. I'm just bugging right now for some reason. We're trying to get this copied so I can. Here we go. Let's see if this pastes correctly. There we go. All right. All right. We'll see how this goes. I got a tiny screen. Got a tiny screen over here. We'll see. See how this goes. Anyway, all right. All right. So sorry about that. Just trying to clear my throat because I feel like this is going to be a long conversation. We'll see how this goes. I can barely even see. I didn't set up my camera and I did not dude. And this is exactly why I wanted this to be like this response video, because Knives just put out the how I oh man, I gotta look at the title. I gotta look at the title and double check. And a shout out to the Tired Girls Club. I'm showing my support by being on the live stream on Facebook, adding up on that viewer count. Shit, where did it go? What did Knives say? I forgot. That is okay. It was the moment you realize you're a filmmaker. So I feel like Knives, and this is so meta for the type of content that Knives gets, at least as far as like response videos and stuff like that goes. It's very like old school YouTube, I guess. And very new school too in some ways, with the way that YouTube is kind of just like a snake eating its own tail, you know. And it's so funny that, you know, if you're a YouTube content watcher, how the big YouTubers, how there's just so much controversy going on right now with the Rogan and all these other YouTubers that are dealing with like sexual harassment cases, and how it's all kind of connecting back in this whole power structure thing. But anyway, I kind of wanted to bring up and talk about this because, and I got the chat up, so if you're out there and you're watching, I have the chat up so I can kind of see. But so Knives posted this video about, I think it was Quentin Tarantino doing not been Quentin Tarantino. I forgot. I wasn't paying attention. I was watching it kind of on the left screen over here. And posted a video about a director who was talking about how he watched a sequence, and people talking about seeing the poetry in between the lines of a screenplay or whatever it may have been. It might have been an actor. that was he was talking about. But at the end, it was Knives talking about how he had rented Kill Bill Volume One, and when he saw the Miramax and the MGM at the beginning or whatever he said, I forgot. I apologize if I'm butchering this story up, but it immediately brought up this pointed question for me, and I haven't spoken with Knives in a while, but I was hoping maybe he could hop on later, get in the conversation. Ah, shit, I forgot. Damn. All right. So if he does get in, I'll see. I'll see it. But I'm not. I'm not a. I'm realizing I'm not a filmmaker, man. I've never made a. I've made some short films, back when I was in film school, but it really doesn't matter. Those weren't things that I was in. Those aren't things that I would consider cinema, and maybe that's the difference. Maybe there is this uh uh maybe there just is this and Knives, if you I mean, I'm watching you on the chat over here, but if you just follow that link and you follow like the instructions, you'll be able to get in here, and I'll add you. I have to click a couple buttons, and uh then I'll have you on the show. But maybe the conversation that we need to be having is what's the difference between film and cinema, and what is a film now? Where does it go? Where does it exist? Like, and whatnot. In that case, like, I don't feel like I'm making stories. I don't feel maybe I feel I make videos, and I make videos very very infrequently. So does that make me not even a videographer? I don't know. At this stage in what I'm doing, I'm becoming more of like just a straight businessman. Um, because I have ideas, I put together productions, I do those sorts of things, and I don't consider myself really a filmmaker. Not in the sense of like when you graduate from film school, like I did when I graduated from the University of Hawaii with a film degree, whatever you want to say that's whether that's good or not good. But I'm just gonna reply. Yeah, graduating from film school doesn't really make you a filmmaker. I think getting out of film school and going and making your 3 films, putting together your portfolio, that could make you a filmmaker. But what one person might consider a filmmaker, another may not, because you didn't get your film in AMC movie theaters or Cinemark, or you're not out there doing it big like that. In today's day and age, independent filmmakers, I would say if you make it to Vimeo, if you have 3 films on Vimeo, you have a portfolio. You have something that's marketable. You have something that can be sold. But it depends. Like, is a filmmaker is a filmmaker defined by whether or not he's in the business of films, or is it an art form? Is it a business, or is it an art form? There's kind of like a I don't know. There's something there. Well, I can't see him, so I don't know why he's not showing up here, but yeah, it's not showing up. Let me see. I don't see him. I don't know. It says, let's see if I can find him this way. I don't know, man. I don't see you in the green room, so I can't add you. Um, well, let's see. Oh, okay, here it is. Let me send him another link. Let me see. Here we go. Let's see. Well, I'll cut off the beginning of this show, and then oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, there we go. There we got a Niles Monroe in this building here. I see a K Sizzle. Whoa, weird. I can't hear you. Let's see. I don't know what's. Let me see. All right, so let me see if they can hear. I think they probably. Yeah, nope. Your mic's not coming through. I don't know if your setting is not on uh your mixer, but your audio is not coming through. Well, we'll wait for Naz to get his audio to come through. Just waiting on it. Get his audio to come through. It's good to have his face on here so I could, talk shit to his face. Just kidding. But um I'm sure it'll come through here certainly. Just gonna take a second. This would be great for the YouTube video that's gonna be posted on there. I'm not sure if he can hear me, but maybe he could give me a thumbs up if he could hear me. Okay, that's good. That's good. So we're just kind of hanging on here, waiting for the fixings. I don't know how to. Let me see if I can figure this out myself. When you entered the room, did it change? Let's see. Man, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. Holy shit. Holy shit. Muted. How do we unmute Knives? I don't know. I'm unmuted. Wait, do you see at the bottom of your screen some sort of unmute button? Let me see. Oh, you know what? No, I don't know what. This is input. This is my input. Visually from a Facebook perspective, this looks great. Two buds chatting. I don't know. I don't know how to fix your audio on your end, but I'm not getting anything. I can't hear you. Uh, Wait, there we go. What happened? I could hear you for 1 second. I heard you 1 second. What happened? What did you change? I heard you and then you cut out. I don't know what happened.
1, 2,
There we go.
3.
There we go.
Can you hear? Does this sound okay?
Yeah, it sounds great, but I can hear myself.
How does that make sense?
I don't know. Maybe you have
What
the
about this? Can you hear yourself now?
check. Not much, just a little bit through the headphones.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh.
We're good there.
All right. Does this?
Well, what was going on?
Is this coming from here?
Is it coming through the stream?
No, but can you tell that it's coming from this microphone? Like if I do this,
yeah,
does it sound different, or
yes.
It is coming from this microphone?
Yeah,
I think it's Restream. You know, it gives me audio options, and it wants default, not loop back. So default works for me if it works for you.
Mm.
So I just before I say anything, and sorry about this, I might recommend you trim this. Sorry, but I'll take the responsibility on that.
It's live. We're live, baby.
No, but you know, whatever version that you publish. I just want to say, did you get your point across?
No.
Okay, so go ahead and get your point across before I take it apart. I'm just kidding.
I ain't
gonna take nothing apart. That was a joke.
Oh yeah. No, I was just saying that you posted a video. It was about when you realized you're a filmmaker, and I was basically just responding to say, like, we've had conversations before about how one defines a filmmaker, and I was just saying that that video made me feel as though I'm not a filmmaker. And I know maybe initially when you I think the initial question of what a filmmaker was a long time ago when we first met, I said yes, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Changed my mind.
Yeah, that's totally valid. You know, you did say something that I was able to catch, that you didn't look at yourself as a filmmaker. You look at yourself more as a businessman. And here's something that I kind of just want to contrast, because I think it's very similar. When you're a filmmaker, when you're a director, it's a lot like a startup. Every movie is a startup business. You know, you're employing people. There's a contract. You know, you stop working at the end of X amount of months. It's like a little startup business. And like any business, you want it to be profitable. So whether if you're on the big budget scale or on the indie underground scale, you still want to turn a profit, right? So filmmakers also have to be business people. So it's under the same umbrella. Another thing I wanted to add is when you're a filmmaker, you can work in different genres, right? Like maybe fiction and writing screenplays, once upon a time, genre stuff is not your thing. That's fine. But if you're still in the documentary space or in the corporate whatever space or in the esports space, I think that falls under a genre of filmmaking, right? So whether if you're making commercials or TikToks, it's still using the same cinematic language, right? So you might not identify as a filmmaker. That's cool. but you're still using filmmaking every day because filmmaking is just a language. That's all it
Mhm.
is. It's like English, Spanish, French. Filmmaking is the language of dreams. And if you use that, I think it can help your business, whatever your business is, and that's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with what you just said. I like that take, but I think there are people out there, an audience out there that would argue that if you're not making films like in the traditional sense, like documentaries that go to VHS or that, old school like legacy television traditional, like then you're not a filmmaker, and that's kind of what I guess
I
I didn't know if that
understand, but
was your perspective,
that's like
but
that's like taking such a narrow view on what filmmaking is, and I'll tell you why. Look at entrepreneurs, right? When you're when you're an entrepreneur, it's really basically a state of mind. It's really about, do you work for other people or do you work for yourself? That's it.
Mhm.
It's that broad. So if you're selling cupcakes, if you're selling lemonade, if you write bars for rappers, but you're making money at the end of the day and you don't work for anybody, you work for you, you're an entrepreneur. So I can have other entrepreneurs tell Trent Knox, esports? You're not an entrepreneur. How obtuse is that perspective? So it's the same thing with filmmaking. Like, the only reason why old media exists
Mm.
was because it was in the early stages of, like, the early primordial stages of evolution, right? That's the only reason why it exists. We needed to get there to get to where we are now. I think I think it's petty. It's a petty argument that someone would say that's not filmmaking. You're not in the Cannes Film Festival. It's completely petty. No one's ever thrown that my way, and even if they did, it would just go over my head. I think that's an old school way of looking at filmmaking because, like any and everything, everything's evolved. Like, I don't take my cues from the year 2000.
Mhm. Well, I'll be honest though, I'm not a very good influencer because, like, for instance, I just wanted to go live. I just wanted to get on here and have the conversation because you and I, work together. We're friends and whatnot. Even though we have our differences, I'm not going out there and doing all the marketing that it may need to go into it. I'm like, in that sense, I feel more like an artist, which kind of makes it like the filmmaker. The artist is the filmmaker. Would you agree with that or no? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I think here's the thing. I wasn't sure if you asked me this or somebody recently. I think if you're a PA, you're a filmmaker. If you're a script supervisor, if you're the gaffer, if you're under the movie, whatever your title is, I think you're a filmmaker. It's a collaborative medium, right? So, but I think all filmmakers are artists for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So I'm just gonna rephrase that what you just said, and then we can keep going on it. So you're saying if you're on the film crew, no matter your position, you're a filmmaker.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting because I feel like there's a sense of pretentiousness, and I was thinking back. Actually, this came up in my feed, and I don't know how this thought process came through, but I was thinking about Austin as like a like film studios, like out off of out in North Austin, the film studios like Rooster Teeth, Bad what is it? Not Bad Robot, is that right? Bad Robot?
There's a Bad Robot. There's Troublemaker Studio.
Troublemaker Studios, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just thinking like I don't see a lot of community outreach from those studios. I don't know, you might because you're a little bit closer. The Is there community outreach from the mainstream studios? Is there an avenue for filmmakers to do that sort of work around here?
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know about that. I've never tried to climb that ladder. Never.
Hmm.
And I don't think there's any shame in it. I think it's fine. There was a while where, and I just ducked it generationally speaking. I just ducked having to go to Los Angeles and climb up the ladder and sell stuff and try to get a pitch and pilot season, blah 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 blah. Like, I ducked that, and I think YouTube and internet at scale and direct to consumer platforms for that. Like, if that wasn't there, you know. So I don't know what Troublemaker does. Maybe they do. I have no idea. I'm not on that radar. Like, I'm not inoculated in in the mainstream big film world.
Mhm.
That's not what I want to do. Like, I want ownership, you know?
Are you like, do you ever have the aspirations to do like a big budget Hollywood graphic, motion effects, super, big budget film, or is that just not something in your repertoire, something that you want to do?
I like to joke about it. You know, I made this joke. It was a joke that really was only for one person that I thought would have got a laugh out of it. Kind of an inside joke with me, and my friend Robert Longoria. The Animorphs movie got greenlit, and I was like, oh, I should have been the director for that. And that's going to require a lot of special effects. But I'll be honest, I have no desire to play with that. However, they're
Something
not
like
one and the
that in
same.
my mind takes like 150 people.
It takes more. It takes more. We're talking
Yeah,
thousands for sure, thousands.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I do want to make like a would I love to make a Netflix series, HBO series, Amazon Prime series. Hell
yeah,
yeah. Hell yeah.
yeah.
It'd be more human. I don't think we'd use much special effects. Not in the
Right.
I'm not going to create a computer generated character. I'm not interested in that.
So I want to go back a little bit because, I said I would like to think I'm a businessman, but I only say I'm a businessman because I'm on my fourth business name, and three businesses have failed, and now I'm in a fourth one, which shows some promise, but in esports, but it hasn't gone to market. It's not there yet. It's on its way. Maybe it'll get there, you know. But I've learned along the way from people like Robert Gardner and you and Tanner and Brian and so many different people that I've worked with and collaborated with on different sorts of projects that I'm bringing that all kind of together in this one, where the three before were kind of just like, YouTube tutorial businesses or whatever you would like to call it. This one comes with experience, which is different, I guess. But yeah, and maybe it's audacious to say I'm a businessman, and maybe I'm just a salesman. Maybe I'm selling the idea of creating a business and within something that's within a larger topic that I'm selling. I'm selling the esports. I'm selling that because there's really not, it's not as popular and mainstream as maybe a Hollywood budget film.
I'm not naturally a salesperson, but I think there's a salesman component to anything that's trying to generate a profit or
Yeah.
trying to push a mission forward, say if it's a nonprofit, there still needs to be a salesman mentality there. I'm not really good at that. I think that's why I failed at YouTube in a
Hmm.
macro sense because I don't check the boxes. Like maybe it's a pride thing, I don't know. In terms of smash that like button, don't forget to subscribe and all the I mean, just saying it doesn't it feels phony to me, you know? Having said that, like, I feel like as a sales person, that as a mentality, you have to sell yourself first. Like Trent
Hmm.
Knox, whatever his business endeavor is at any given time, Trent Knox is selling Trent Knox. And
Yeah.
whatever meeting he's in or whatever, however you're interfacing with whatever, you're selling
Hmm.
yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I just got a message from a company that I do independent contract work. A text message that said, "Be aware, because there's just so much going on right now. Be aware that your public, uh, your public profile. It's important to be aware of your public profile." And it was like a shocking message because it was like it's not indicate it wasn't directed toward me, but it was a mass message from the company, and it really shook me because I was like, damn, now they're really harping on it. Because before, I think a lot of people could get away with saying something sexist, saying something random on social media. And companies, like, seriously, they're really seriously taking it into consideration. And I mean, like, I don't know if you've been following some of the messaging that's been coming out from, some of the live streaming sites about sexual harassment, but a lot of big influencers, obviously they're talking about it on YouTube too with Chris D'Elia, but it's just like it's like every single news topic I'm seeing right now is about some sort of social um
Yeah, I feel
so
like that's across the board on the mainstream or on the dark side of the internet, your whatever live
mhm.
streaming universe, which I'm
Yeah,
not too privy on. I guess
yeah,
it moves too slow for me. Like I like curated content. Like I like finding a specific niche, very specific tactical thing. I
yeah.
can listen to it at 2 times speed. Got the information, I got the nugget, I'm out. Like streamers, I I, I like the community aspect of it, but I can't really hop on it. But what you're talking about, I think there's like what's it called? Hashtag speaking out is what's going on right now. I think it's fine. Like I think it's cool. I think people need to speak out. And if people want to right now there's an attention to like this court of public opinion. Right now there's attention on like civil matters, on personal matters, you know. And so
Mhm.
I think that's why we're hearing this Chris D'Elia stuff and whoever the big Twitch stars, if that's happening to them too, it's because right now we're in the eye of the hurricane, multimedia wise, on the internet.
Mhm.
And so this is the perfect opportunity for shit to come out. You know, we talked
Yeah,
about COVID for like 2 months on the internet. So I think
yeah.
people want to change that conversation as well. And I think that's going to move the ball further down the field for people to get a win. I think that's important right now.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, coming out, that's interesting. Yeah, I think well yesterday was this motion from streamers to do a blackout day where people wouldn't stream because of the so much sexual harassment that's been going on in the live streaming community.
Mhm.
Just a lot of big streamers using their clout to, to oppress or I don't know, suppress people's voices, a lot of different things. And it's really strange. I just there's so much going on with a platform like Mixer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but they're shutting
They're
down.
shutting down. Yeah.
Yeah, and that really displaced a lot of people who were creating content who were niched out to that website, and their brand most likely won't translate to other platforms.
That's kind of on them, though. You know, if I marketed myself as a Facebook only creator, what happens when Facebook goes down? Like, why am I not allocating and diversifying what I need to do? If my money's on the line,
hmm
right? That's on the creators.
Is But but the other thing that people aren't talking about, and it's because they don't, if they say something about it, maybe the company that they work for will fire them, which has happened recently in the gaming world. But the challenge is that they get into these exclusivity contracts, let's say with partners on Mixer, and there's so much legalese that prevents them from going to Instagram, going to TikTok, going to Snapchat because there's consequences if they get involved with the competing advertiser that's working with that platform.
Would
So
you sign an exclusive deal like that onto a particular platform if the money was right? And, you know, let's just say the money was right. Everybody's got a price. Like, you know, would you sign a deal like that?
So Brian and I have talked about this before. Shout out Brian. And I said no. And maybe I mean that's kind of clear with the way that I operate. I use Restream. I broadcast to multiple platforms. Brian posted about being shadow banned. You added me, and I was kind of frustrated with you adding me because I was like, damn
I
man.
do think you are shadow banned on Facebook.
No, I think something has changed on Facebook that has kind of kind of levied some of those restrictions that I have on my account because my my groups have been growing. I'm getting good engagement. My numbers are going up, so Facebook kind of is giving me some traction.
It's good.
You know, I say that and now I got you know 0 viewers across the board, and that's maybe I just don't really market myself. And I said that earlier in this show that we're doing right here, and maybe it could be just that I don't participate, I don't engage, I don't. I create content sort of in the documentary style, or just to kind of get what I have off my chest, or for whatever reason. I'm not really creating content for anyone but myself, at
Yeah,
least as far as this goes.
that could be it. I struggle with that too. I mean, I think 80 to 90% of any content I put out there is autobiographical and thereby selfish in nature. It's for an audience
Mhm.
of one, but I'm not really bringing value, I don't do educational content, you know.
Yeah, I
So
feel like
that might be
this type of thing that we do sometimes. We don't always do this, but we do this so that we can play around with new ideas. That when we do go to something, uh, where we're making money, or we're doing like a serious project, we've worked out all those things that don't go right. That you can't do it that way because it falls flat, it doesn't go anywhere. It seems like a good idea, but it doesn't really work out. So I mean, sort of the multi-broadcasting thing is in that category. So whenever you say, "Yeah, I think you're shadow banned on Facebook," a lot of the case of problem in that case, maybe the multi-broadcasting thing does get me restricted. I don't want to say shadow banned, but
right.
restricted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate. I talked to Brian about it. I honestly think his Instagram to which he's referring, I think it's like bugging somehow. It's got to be bugging. Like it just doesn't seem right. I have this one Instagram account that haven't used in years, and it was a fan account for this comic book character that I liked.
Yeah.
And I hadn't posted content on it in like 2 or 3 years. And I just posted a feed picture and an Instagram story, and the traffic was outrageous. So I don't think it's a hot, cold, and you're going to get a restriction put on you for that. I honestly just think like his actual what he was talking about his channel, and I don't want to out it, but I think it's bugging. So I recommended that he started from scratch and create a brand new thing. I think that'll
Uh,
be more worth his time.
Actually, I think what he was saying about stories, getting more engagement on stories on Instagram versus Facebook stories. I, th- I think that's because in order to watch a Facebook story, you have to have Messenger basically installed on your device. So you're not going to get as much traction as most people have Instagram installed on their phones, so they're going through the stories pretty fast. Facebook's just not going to get that much engagement. And Facebook as like a platform, they keep going back and forth with how they want to upgrade their stuff, they want to downgrade their stuff. So that's kind of what I've been noticing with Facebook in the past year. I've had restrictions on my account, and I have been forced to change my password twice by the AI. So with Facebook, like they definitely, if you don't pay, you don't get to play.
I don't know. I think that's one opinion. I don't think that works across the board. I think if someone's white hot for whatever reason, I think they can have good organic, and I think they can sell whatever the
Yeah,
product is. And I don't know. It's hard for grassroots like people who are getting something started. It's hard.
yeah,
Everybody wants to
yeah.
pop, and it just takes reps. That takes reps. But with whatever, I talked to Brian about it on the phone, and I think what he's talking about, he's not getting. It's not about what the numbers he deserves. He's not getting any numbers. He's not getting any statistics, and so that sounds like a bug to me. I don't think he was shadow banned. I just think that I don't know. Maybe it's some sort of, I don't want to say firmware. I don't know the technical jargon, but I do think it's something. It's something, a software bug or something. I don't think he's being punished by
Oh,
IGAI,
right.
right? I do think it's like there needs to be some sort of troubleshooting thing that I think will fix that. Or if it doesn't, I told him rehabilitate it. If it doesn't work, just create a new account.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. I think you're coming at it from a different angle, and I want to come out from another angle that kind of adds to your angle of what you're saying, is that with the Mixer partners who were partnered on Mixer that are being converted into Facebook gaming partners, they're getting a stimulus check of $2,500. Boom. They're signed to an exclusive deal for 90 days. they have to stream directly to to Facebook for 90 days. You know, their whole audience is not going to transition. I mean, what people are saying is that what they need to do is if they're full-time streamers, that's 40 hours of streaming, is stream for 8 hours or stream for 4 hours on Mixer and then say, hey, I'm shutting down the stream and I'll be going over to Facebook for the next 4 hours of their stream to kind of start migrating their audience over to the other platform. If they choose to go down that route, they could say, to hell with it and just throw all their chips into the basket of Twitch or go towards YouTube, whatever. Who knows what's going to happen? But there's an influx of live video content that is going to come to Facebook, and Facebook, as far as an interface, isn't prepared to house all those people. Mixer was developed for live streaming. Facebook really isn't. So when I if we're talking about the common chaos, Facebook doesn't prioritize live video, podcast, video.
His main
In that
qualm
way.
was with Instagram for sure, which
With
is
Instagram.
owned by Facebook. But he's talking about a very specific issue. Like I don't want to out him because I don't know. I'm not fully up to date with what he has said publicly, and so I don't want to hurt him in any way. But he's talking about Instagram mainly. I get decent. What's the word?
Engagement, traffic.
Engagement, numbers, impressions, whatever from Facebook, and I don't do shit. Like I don't do anything, Yeah, Facebook's always treated me right. I feel like Facebook, you know how in mixed martial arts there's boxers, wrestlers,
Yeah.
kickboxers. Like on
Mhm.
Facebook, you kind of have to be everything, I feel. Because
Sure.
there's groups.
I think you take it from, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is the angle you take it from is community, then
Yeah.
then you go to your own page. You interact with
Yeah.
groups.
Yeah, which
Um
takes guts and dare I say talent. Like it takes
mhm,
guts to not choke. I've never choked on a live stream, knock on wood, but also it takes talent to be able to just spaz out for 3 hours and retain an audience on Facebook. It's why I
mhm.
don't do it on Twitch. Like and you correct me if I'm wrong, but if there was a this is so I'm such an old timer, but like back in the day streaming it was kind of like this where let's say let's say Peter McKinnon is doing a live stream on Twitch.
Yeah.
If there was a way to uh, um kind of hack into hit not hack, but that's the wrong word. It's a culture hack is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I hear
If
what you're saying.
I know that I could go inside that Twitch and do what I'm doing right here with you and
Mhm.
siphon his audience. I would love if that was more, and I feel like on Facebook that's so easy to do that. There's no friction to do that. On Twitch, it's not really there. It's not really there like that. It can be maybe, but if I just feel like if my scene was really happening on Twitch, I would be doing that right now. I would be doing that every day. But on Facebook, you can. I can go into multiple different filmmaking, photography, whatever my niche is, podcasting, and siphon those audiences just on my skill alone because those communities are already built in. I wish
So
Twitch had something like that.
so kind of talk about it. I mean, uh I said earlier, what differentiates the filmmaker when we talk about art and business? And
Intent.
right.
You need to know both to be successful. You
Hmm.
know, because what makes a successful art movie successful? Is it not the tickets it sold? Is it not the
Yeah.
fact? What is the
Well,
bucket
no,
that they
not.
need to fill?
So I said that, but then I also said, well, what if you just put it on Vimeo and a million people see it? You didn't sell any tickets.
Yeah.
That's the same amount of success as selling a million tickets, right?
I don't know. It depends on whatever the intent of that filmmaker, what they wanted. I think like Casey Neistat has put out a 4 or maybe 10-minute movie essentially that gets 30 million views. That's a fucking win. That's a win for sure. I think that means more.
Definitely want to kind of detach the whole advertising aspect, the money making from monetization from it, and just be like 100 views versus 100 tickets. Like, I guess in the sense of it being like you're the one who's in control of
If I
making
had
the
to
money,
choose between 100 tickets or 100 views, 100 tickets.
right? Well, there's just so much to that. There's so much to that.
Personally, the thing that would give me the biggest boner is
Yeah,
to be in the room with a group of people who are watching the thing and feeling the electricity in the air, whether if it's 4 people or 40 or 400 or
yeah.
4,000. But being in that room and getting that feedback, that's where you grow.
So
It's
that's
like
kind of like what Twitch is, though. I mean, Twitch is kind of the in between.
I don't know. Twitch, I mean, enlighten me because I don't know. But
So it's kind of like
you're still
it's
just
kind.
one guy in the room, though.
It doesn't have to be, but it could. Yeah. Let's say. Okay. So let's say that everything is a one man act, a one man show. You do a movie, you do a YouTube, you do whatever it is, and however you sell it. But okay, let's say 1 million tickets sold, 1 million views, and then somewhere in between is this platform that says, okay, you're gonna get 500, and gonna get compensation in the form of, I want to call it compensation. I'm tired of people calling it donations. You're gonna get compensation in adequate, let's say $1 a ticket. So you get 500,000 views and um and 500,000 compensation tickets. Let's call them tickets. That's what Twitch is. That's
I know that.
that's what it really is. Yeah.
I do know that, what I'm talking about is, Facebook is ghastly. Like their UI, like the Facebook page is disgusting. Like it hurts the eyes.
Yes.
Whether if you're
Yes.
on, whether if
Yes.
you're on an app or if you're on desktop, it looks like shit. I don't care what you say, anybody.
They
But
honeydicked me, man. They honeydicked me. They gave me the new Facebook, and they pulled it back the next day.
oh, I got this thing in the mail for my daughter. I'm gonna give that to her in a bit.
Gave me
I,
the
s-
new
I
Facebook.
hear
It
you.
has dark mode, has all that. Then they're
Yeah.
like, nope,
It's
sorry,
still
too early.
I don't say this word often because it's like it's just a bad word. It's a bad word, but it's
Sad.
it's ugly. I don't like the U word. I'm not a big
Mm,
fan of it, but
mm,
it's ugly. But what it has is it's kind of like this grandfathered in as multiple communities, and you can really it's so easy to meet a person and connect with a person and exchange whatever you need to exchange.
yeah.
And I wish Twitch had an element of its community like that built in. It kind of doesn't. I feel like if I'm on Twitch and
I hear what you're saying.
I'm doing my one act and Trent's talking, I can't necessarily just go into Trent's life and build that connection with him. I can follow him on Twitch, but that's not the same thing, you know. And
Right, right,
that's
right.
what I like about Facebook, where if I'm going live and I'm basically doing what I would be doing on Twitch, but doing it on Facebook, and if somebody interacts with me, I can instantly get into their life and then build that
Oh yeah,
connection. And I
yeah.
love that. Like you can't put a price on that. Like by and large, I've met so many cool people that way. And I wish
So
Twitch
yeah.
had that.
So that's part of the gaming community. I feel like that definitely comes from the gaming community in the aspect that there's so much anonymity in gaming. And
And
there's so
I think that's
much
part of the problem why
pseudonyms.
female streamers are being so regularly harassed is because of that. It's so easy for someone, and you don't know if they're 12 or you don't know if they're 50. It's so easy to hide behind, be a lurker, and be a shit starter. People get off on that,
Yeah.
and that's problematic. And I think that's bad design. That's bad design. But there's a community for that I think kind of breeds more of that behavior, more of that animalistic behavior. And Facebook kind of almost polices itself in that because people can block
It
you. People can
does.
be like, I
Yeah.
don't want you to be a part of this world. I do
Yeah.
appreciate that, even though it's uncool. Like there's not a cool factor about Facebook at all. Not at
Yeah.
all.
I mean, Facebook, you definitely have to go to an extra length to be anonymous on Facebook in contrast to Twitch.
I
But,
don't
you
find any
know,
benefit in being anonymous.
well, if you're a shit poster or
I
you go
mean,
into the comments and
I,
you're
I,
net and you're a troll, like those sorts
yeah,
of things.
right. No, you're right about that. You're right about that. Yeah, totally.
And I know for a fact, like I know my uncle, he does that because he has had a negative perspective of Facebook for quite some time.
Can I ask you a question? So I know you're all about like the esports space, and it's still like in its infancy. It's it hasn't even been around long enough to be recognized in the mainstream in a way that like TikTok, which is also a new kind of thing, is like the TikTok stars are stars now.
Mhm,
Esports
mhm.
stars, for whatever reason, they're not as big as they inevitably will be. What do you think about this cross pollination of siphoning communities and audiences and taking an esports nugget and dropping it in on, like, say, Reddit? Do you think that could catch fire? Because
Uh,
Reddit is built on communities, right?
right, so that exists on Twitch. Twitch is obviously they do the Reddit recaps. That's a
I
big
didn't know
form of
that.
content. As a big form of content on Twitch, but
Mm,
that's for personality streamers. It's not necessarily for esports.
hmm
There
I
are
think
esports
don't,
communities.
don't you need a personality to? I still don't really super understand esports. I really just look at it as like the NBA or the NFL. Like you still have to bring personality. You can be
So
it
I have a
affect
conversation a lot.
personality might not affect your stats and competitive play, obviously. Maybe it could. Maybe there could be a Conor McGregor that gets inside somebody's mind before they do battle, right? And in an esports competitive
Yeah.
play. But I think if you really want to be successful, you kind of have to be a Conor McGregor in esports. No?
So
Or
saying
Belichick.
here's what I'm saying. I think we need to go back to the vocabulary, and this is where I've been going back with a lot of people lately. That there's and actually there's some support to what I have to say in the mainstream through the Associated Press. They actually finalized this argument. There's a way to define kind of what esports is. The number one thing I like to say it is a culture. And this isn't actually validated by this isn't something that the Associated Press said. But I like to consider it a culture because it has the RGB lights everywhere. It's got the dark room. It's got it's somewhere you can go. And in that culture environment, you have a feeling. There's a feeling to it. It's not, you know, it's the same thing as what's currently going on in NASCAR and why there's so much pushback there. It's because people saw it as a culture, they brought their culture into it, and they behaved in a certain way. Well, esports is that, except there's esports capital E, which is the noun, which is the whole culture. Then there's esports lowercase e, beginning it as a pronoun. And then there's these idiots out there that say lowercase e capital S, and then
Can I just interject and say nothing should be this difficult to explain?
it's new. I think the reason why, I mean, it would be like explaining the Enlightenment to someone pre-Enlightenment. You
I
know,
don't know. I don't know. Like, isn't esports, and I know it's way more vast, but isn't it like the NBA?
no, League of Legends is like the NBA.
Right, but that falls under the umbrella of esports.
Capital E, the
Right,
noun of
right,
esport.
as you say. And so if I had to explain it to a 6-year-old or my grandma, I would
Right.
basically say, "Oh, it's like the NBA but for video
But would
games."
you call football? Would you call? Okay, Would you call football basketball out of place?
I would call it live sports, right? That's when people say are aching right now for live sports, they mean football, basketball. They mean all of them. They mean all of them. Soccer, what have you. When they say
Well,
live sport,
live sports kind of is the same as saying it's equal to an esports, capital E, to lowercase e sports. Like that's equivalent to,
right?
as an
Yeah.
equivalency.
No, I agree with that totally. And I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm
easier
actually gonna
to
write that down. That's actually
I think that's
live.
easier to explain, because yeah, you could say the NBA has a culture. It does. No, of course it does. Just like NASCAR, like you said. But that's to me kind of like implied. It's implied. We don't even need to discuss it. It's just
Um, yeah, but
effervescent.
here's where I think people get hung up is because they don't comprehend what a lowercase e sport is. That could be a MOBA, a battle royale, a uh, a a virtual card game. It could be a first person shooter.
Do you remember when
These
like
are genres.
Do you remember when G4? I think it was called
Yeah, G4.
G4. I
Yeah,
never saw
G4.
it, but sometimes I go inside homies' houses and they had it on. Do you remember when
Yeah,
G4 was like the ESPN of gaming?
yeah, yeah. So
Is it
G4,
is it still that? Is it still
no,
on? Does
no,
it exist? You see, that's why I asked.
no.
But there
G4 is
essentially
equal
needs
to
to
this
be
new company
there
called
need
VEN. There is that. That does exist
on old media
on old
where
media. It's
where
called
I can because
VENN.
on ESPN on any given time. I mean, I don't watch ESPN anymore, but you could be watching track, football, golf, poker, weird shit. Professional wrestling nowadays, MMA, it's on ESPN. There needs to be a esports ESPN that is so ubiquitous with this with the genre itself that people can use it as an adjective, right? Like people who are unfamiliar with Restream will say that we're on Zoom right now. We're on Zoom. We're zooming, right? Like sports needs to be as ubiquitous as whatever shorthand that would be. It will be in the future.
Yep.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable, but it still just hasn't completely broke through old media, which it doesn't even need that stamp. It doesn't need that validation, but I think that's why we're even having this conversation is because it's still in the early Big Bang beginning of its infancy.
This is this is true, and partially that's due to the fact that I, being a citizen, that's probably not the right word, a member or a constituency of the esports capitally, don't validate as much these organizations that
Yeah.
go out there and attempt to be the ESPN of esports or the ABC of esports or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to go out there and say that is it. Just as much as like my entrepreneurial startup, I don't suspect people are going to come out and be like, "That's it. That's the thing. That's what we were looking for out the gate." I feel like there's going to be a lot of pushback that people say like, "Who is this guy? This guy's a fraud. He's never been a professional game player. He's never been a player. He's not the guy." And I think that that's where it gets to be kind of like frustrating because how do you make a name for yourself in esports if every single time you turn around the validation that is being taken away from you, the credit that you have done, because and it's not that it's being taken away, it's that it's such a broad thing. A lot of people who like lowercase esports, MOBAs, League of Legends, though those people, they only are into League of Legends. They're not also. It's just like saying a lot of people are in traditional sports are into basketball, also into football, also into cricket, also into this, and also they're into all these different sports. That's not the case in esports.
I understand. I understand that. It might be it's segregated, right? But that's
Yeah,
right now. It's right now. In 10 years, we don't know what's going to be the thing that consolidates that.
yeah,
Something
yeah.
will, and it's going to take a vast sum of capital with the right vision that's going to put it all under one composition. It'll happen one day. It'll happen one day. It's like UFC and how there's different weight classes.
Hmm.
There are people that don't understand that like a Conor McGregor will never fight a John Jones. It'll never happen. It doesn't make sense, right? But
Yeah,
there are different communities in each weight class, right? But then
right.
UFC 200 and or whatever will create a composition to be like, well, here's a card, and so you can have women fighters, and you can have these different weight classes, and once somebody creates like the card component and then it's on pay-per-view or something, I think then people will start understanding the macro for what it is.
So for esports, I completely hear what you're saying because, and I think this is the case for any sort of form of entertainment, is that in order for there to be value, something has to be attached to it that we all see as like we all see it as oh, damn, I'm going to say value again, but that's not the right word. Maybe you can make it word this better. Is that since there's money invested, and since there's a lot of money invested, that particular thing is held in high regard. We see boxing, and since you pay, $50 for a ticket, or I mean for pay-per-view, then they're like, oh, that's official, that's validated.
Uh,
Esports doesn't
Yeah,
really have that,
yeah,
aside from actually going to an event. If
not
you
yet.
actually go to an event, then you're spending, anywhere from $50 to $350 as a consumer. If you're on the side of the business, you
And
could be
who gets
spending
that?
1250
Who
to
collects
whatever.
that money though?
Organizations, so
But not
businesses.
one
So I mean,
organization.
there's a dominant organization. There are a few different dominant organizations in esports. Um,
Can you name one?
so Blizzard Entertainment
Okay.
is probably Blizzard Entertainment and Riot Games.
Yeah.
Blizzard Entertainment is the controlling body behind
Right.
Call of Duty,
Yep.
behind Overwatch League, behind all these different games that are published
Yeah.
by Blizzard Entertainment, and then they have an
So
offshoot
go
called
to a
Blizzard
Blizzard. We
Esports.
go into a Blizzard event, and you and me pay 350 a ticket or whatever. That goes to Blizzard. Is that correct?
So this is where I think that we have like we have we have these challenges because constantly these businesses are being sold to each other. So like for instance, Mixer being sold to Facebook.
It's all esports needs right now is an arena. That's all it needs is the context to really make a fuckload of money and to be considered not valid. I think it's past that. I think it's past validation. I really do. But for it
What
for the money to be consolidated and come from a source that's reliable, that's dependable, like whatever the equivalent of 2020 pay-per-view is, right? Like
right?
pay-per-view UFC still uses that model, pay-per-view buys and the
Yeah,
gate in their arena, the
yeah.
box office. There needs to be an equivalent of that for esports. If if
So
if the people under are going to eat.
so so okay. That exists. Let's take, for instance, Mark Cuban. Even though he's had some kind of negative press on esports, he's saying it's not profitable, it's not a significant business, is that he owns his own portion of esports in Mavs gaming. So that falls under the umbrella of the Mavericks, and they compete in NBA 2K. They have an arena, not I don't think this necessarily is the wording of arena that you're talking about, but
Mhm.
they have an arena they compete in, and of course all sports, whether it's esports or traditional sports, they're not nobody's going, they don't have any attendees, there's no ticket people going to it. There's the the way that esports, I guess, is structured right now is that there's tournaments, right? There's people come together and play tournaments, but where the money is in tournaments is not in professional right now. It's in amateur. Because if if I'm some random Joe that says I'm going to put up $1 million versus your $1 million, that your team can't beat my team in 2K, NBA 2K, that's a higher prize pool than the actual league, NBA 2K league, currently is offering.
Understood, but no amateurs are actually putting up 1 million.
There are some closed cash games that are that much.
How can you be an amateur and you put $1 million on your team? You're gonna have to show me that because that sounds unbelievable, quite frankly.
Well, it's almost
You
like
know,
it's more closely it's more closely connected to poker than it is football. You know?
but
Um,
poker, here's the thing, can be filmed. They have
right.
poker tournaments, and
There are
even if
plenty
you
of
have 100 games going on at once in one brick and mortar,
yeah,
you know, that's what I'm saying that esports needs.
it has that with DreamHack, with ESL, with BlizzCon, with all of these different events.
Right. There's 20 of them or however many. Yeah. I
But they're
know.
the same as poker. Poker has
But what I'm saying is, like ESPN has all the sports that are on ESPN. even poker. E-
Right. Yeah.
ESPN's
Okay.
probably does not have the bandwidth. Well, maybe now they do, but they probably don't have the bandwidth to include esports. Maybe they do. Maybe some highlights. Maybe devote an hour block, 2 hour blocks.
You're kind of talking about like how ESPN has like the ESPNU or ESPN or ESPN Cinco or whatever, something like that.
No, I don't know what that is. No, I do know what you're saying, but
Like a
I guess
dedicated outlet for esports on traditional broadcast.
it doesn't even have to be traditional. But could you
Okay.
imagine if there was a Netflix for this?
Well, I mean that's kind of what Twitch is.
I mean, Twitch isn't only, and you've told me this. It isn't only gamers.
It originally had a only gamer aspect, but then to diversify because the economics wasn't there, they
I
started.
suppose I suppose Twitch is the closest thing to that for sure.
Yeah, because Twitch has its own tab now. Now it does for esports, like where it has curated content of just esports.
Yeah.
And I was mentioning earlier that there is a traditional television broadcast company starting in July. I don't know if this is going to actually happen, called VENN, Video Game Entertainment and News Network.
Pretty cool.
It's highly unlikely that they'll be able to survive. Look at look what happened to Mixer. Like the market is just gamers, people who enjoy watching gaming content, people who are interested in investing in gaming are not going to validate this company, not in the way that hope. But if there's George Soros bucks, Warren Buffett bucks, Mark
Definitely.
Cuban bucks behind this, then maybe this sort of, it actually lives. Now, if we look at another broadcasting company that's actually owned by Fox, which is Caffeine, which they've thrown influencers at like, Drake is, signed to Caffeine, the Migos are signed to Caffeine. You might as well call it the house for Atlantic as well. That site does not intrinsically drive traffic or bring viewership from gaming. It's like it's in the industry of esports, it's a laugh.
It, nothing, it's just all it takes is like the right idea at the right time. We don't know what it's going to be. It could be Twitch. We don't know. We don't know. What happens when Amazon itself creates a tab in its Amazon Prime vehicle, a tab for Twitch TV, essentially?
Right. But I've heard from
That's all it
executive.
takes.
I've heard from people who are close to executives at Amazon that they don't see Twitch as a number one, they don't see it as like a commercially viable product, but they just see it as a feature. So they don't care whether it succeeds or it doesn't succeed. If it if it if it becomes a burden, they'll just cut it loose or sell it to whoever. Just the same as Microsoft did with Mixer.
Do you think? Wow, that's a shame because Amazon has the ass to make it a big thing. What's the
Well,
difference between, and quite honestly, like what's the difference between like an audience is an audience? Like how does Amazon Prime make money?
so Amazon
I
makes
mean,
money because
I know
they
how it
sell
makes money.
products.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about Amazon Prime. I mean the movie platform. That's what I'm talking about. It
I
makes money because it
uh,
sells, rents. I don't know about ads. I don't see ads on Amazon Prime. But for instance, they put $1 billion into, I think it's like 5 seasons or something, a Lord of the Rings series that's set to debut next year or the year after.
yeah.
$1 billion in a series they already committed to. I guess what I'm trying to say is like all Amazon Prime kind of has to do is just integrate just a video game component where they release games and you can live stream and just like integrate all that. Like the audience is there, the money is there, the products are there, the attention is there. Like they already have it.
So we're just a couple of guys. I feel like we're armchair quarterbacking this one because I'm not there, in that regard to be like, oh, okay, they are doing that. I mean, I guess the only way to compare this is and see where someone who's trying to do this is if we look at Facebook. Okay, Facebook is trying to get into the product game. by having Facebook TV and Facebook Portal and Facebook, all these different products. And Google is eating their lunch and eating their salad in that regard because they're putting out their own Google Home, and Google has YouTube, and Google has, what, all of the power of Alphabet behind it. Whereas Microsoft, the reason why they cut Mixer away is because it does nothing for their business. Grandpa is not going to go from, and this take is from somebody in the industry, is going to say, is not going to click on Mixer and going to go watch Ninja or whoever the biggest star is on Mixer. It's just not built in. And it doesn't make any sense for them to do that. So what Phil Spencer of Xbox has got going on, because Xbox is a vested interest of Microsoft, is that they're going to develop their whole X Cloud system where the games are directly streamed to the Xbox, like you're talking about.
What does a studio network like ABC, CBS, NBC, what does a studio network have that Twitch does not have?
They have the relationships with the cable providers.
Was that not the networks I just stated aren't on cable though?
ABC Network, Fox.
Yeah,
What are you
that's
talking
not
about?
cable. That's like broadcast television. It's not on cable. It's not a premium service.
No, I mean they have the relationships with DirecTV. They have the relationships with Dish Network. They have the relationships with Cox Cable, like the cable networks, like the actual infrastructure is what they have.
And Twitch doesn't have this?
Twitch doesn't have this. They're backed by Amazon.
Amazon and all the net
Infrastructure, but
the
no, 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 no. Amazon lives on top of them. So you think about this. They have servers that connect to, you know, who's the biggest internet provider in the world? Sure. Okay. They sit on top of the ISP. They don't own their own network. They still have to go through these sort of these procedures. They still have to go through those guys. Like they while they've built distribution, they don't have the physical infrastructure.
Hmm. I suppose.
Because whenever a driver goes out in their vehicle, they're not on Amazon Cellular. They're on T-Mobile, AT&T, something like that.
So strange because Amazon is a trillion-dollar company. It could buy if it wanted to, and this would be like one of the craziest times in our life if this were to happen. Obviously, there are laws why it can't, but it could buy AT&T, it could buy Warner Media, it could buy Disney, it could buy all those things.
Well, behind closed doors, I'm assuming this is the case, but it can't be that Amazon LLC or whatever the fuck it is, Jeff Bezos LLC, doesn't own a monopoly in, e-commerce. I think that's the legal issue that they battle, is that if they own the whole market, well, then there's trouble. And I think people have been talking about this as a particular subject matter, but I kind of see it as not being a really that big of an issue, is that Amazon is kind of suffocating their competition by producing products that, like an Amazon Lightning cable or whatever, like they see somebody that's starting to be successful in a certain product, so they
Right.
make their own
Yeah.
Amazon Basics version of it. But then I looked at them and I was like, well, Walmart's been doing that for decades.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the and nobody said anything about that. Nobody said, well,
Some people did. Some
hell,
people did. Walmart came into town and killed all the mom and pop shops. You know,
right? Okay, yeah.
yeah. Some people did when it came out and it was popping. For sure. I feel like, and I could have my mind changed probably very easily with the right data. But if Amazon could, I don't see why it shouldn't. If we became the United States of Amazon, whatever, what fucking
Mhm.
ever. I don't know. If it becomes this big enough snake that it can eat everything, why wouldn't it? That's
So
capitalism.
so Amazon, obviously, their biggest competition is Google, right? And Amazon Amazon Web Services is like all of the is the cloud system that goes behind pretty much so many different companies. And Google has their Google Cloud service and infrastructure, but Amazon is such a Amazon Web Services pretty much dominates at this point the whole infrastructure of the online environment. Just offline, they don't have a huge presence. And maybe it's just because, you know, I don't have the answer. I guess I'm not smart enough to know the answer. Do you have a perspective? I don't know.
No, I just don't know. Just to bring it back to Twitch, like there are millions. I guess what I'm trying to say is like video games, the industry, video games, semicolon, the industry makes way more money than the film industry. Makes way more fucking money by a lot. Like GTA 5 made like $100 billion. The most successful movie of all time made $3 billion. It's not even the same fucking ballpark, these games. And so it's so profitable, and so many people are on, just for example, let's just say during its peak, during Fortnite's peak, how many people were playing that game? And so it would behoove an Amazon to move into that territory and create these pillars in place to siphon the children's money, and everybody gets more quality content. Things become integrated, it becomes just another pillar in the sky.
Well,
And
let me tie this back into
and,
something.
and Amazon and the Twitch marriage has the capital to do so, and the money and attention is there. I don't know why. Maybe it just takes time.
So let me tie this back into something you said earlier. As a content consumer,
Hmm.
you prefer curated content,
That's right.
right? So
Yeah.
when you think about GTA, there's like, I guess in the sense of it being in a box and there being once they put it out there, well, that's not even the case anymore. But once they put the game out there, or at least the initial, I'm going to say this in a very strange way, like as if games are companies, but GTA in its initial public offering comes with a front-facing graphic on the outside of the box. Well, that's changing, and so that stationary kind of stagnant nature of games is gone. That's why you're seeing those huge numbers is because GTA is a 5-year-old game. Is GTA 5 is a 5-year-old game. And they're pushing updates to it constantly. You can't really push that many updates to a film. I mean, sure you could, like let's say
Technically, Marvel has, Avengers and all that. That was like the 14th. It took, what is it, like 12 years and 18 movies to do that? Those are updates, essentially. That's like the equivalent.
yeah, it is, but what if at any point in time you could swap out the actor?
So that's my point.
You
You're,
know.
you're making my point, though. Video games are far more lucrative. For
Hmm.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. They cost more, you know?
Right.
Because Joker cost $50 million and made $1 billion, the most profitable movie of all time. GTA probably cost $500 million or something, right? To make that fucking game. But then,
Yeah.
I see here it's sold 100 copies. Ain't no DVD box set of any show or movie is putting up those numbers. That's a third of every American owns GTA. That's
But
insane.
here's the thing.
The
That's
money
not
is there.
the box office sales. A movie when it gets released, what was Avatar? Is Avatar still the
Oh,
biggest
actually,
movie?
now I think it's Endgame now. I want to say
It
$3 billion.
$3 billion, okay? GTA didn't make $3 billion on day one or the first week.
Let's see. How fast did GTA 5, right, make one? Oh, let's say 3 billion.
Yeah. See, the thing is that video games, the one thing about it is that they're like movies in that sense
Tell you
that
this, Grand Theft Auto 5 made $1 billion in 3 days.
it's off of release.
Yes, a movie has never done that.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's insane.
Well, yeah. I mean, like,
In 3 days,
but do you think that I feel like the gaming industry is extremely volatile in the
it
sense
generated
that
it generated over $6 billion.
off of
Grand
in the
Theft Auto.
first week.
No, no, no. In its lifetime.
Okay, so but like in the first week, it made
First
$1 billion,
day, in the first 3 days, it made $1 billion.
and a movie's never done that before.
Not in 3 days. Maybe I think the fastest is like 10 days for a movie.
So what I think is probably going to happen, we'll start seeing those sorts of numbers for movies if they can solve this direct uh direct to distributor situation like that they've been doing during the pandemic. I think people will put out $20 to see the latest movie at home. I I know that my mom did that with that Paradise Island or Fantasy Island, not Paradise Island. Fantasy Island. She did it, but she did it by accident. No, maybe it wasn't that movie. I can't remember what movie it is, but she did it by accident because there's not a lot of you assume you're buying the movie at that much money, but it's just like as if you're renting it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know. Do you see direct to distributor rental releases being a lucrative market for studios?
Yeah, it is for sure.
Is that even the proper vocabulary? I don't know.
Basically.
Sounds like it is.
Basically, it's VOD, video on demand. People pay whatever amount. It made the waves in the filmmaking world. How Trolls, the movie, grossed like $200 million in a week. Not from the box office, but from people buying the movie to watch at the house. And that's that. Where's the argument to, other than purists and romanticism, take that shit out of the equation? Where's the argument to, that it needs to be at the cinema to make money? Disney was going to release its Black Widow movie with Scarlett Johansson. And then they were like, no, we got to wait. We pushed it back. They could have released it on Disney Plus and gave us the numbers and say how many people rented it or whatever. It probably could have made its money back. I have no doubt that it would have. But they didn't want to be the first ones to pull the trigger. So Trolls doing that set a precedent and made history. I think it's DreamWorks. I'm just pulling that out of my ass. I don't know the company behind it, but that, I mean, Jesus Christ, that's amazing. Everybody's got a home theater at their house, by and large. Shit, you can rent a movie and watch it on your phone. Everybody's got a phone, right? So I think that's tremendous, and it is lucrative. You have to have the marketing behind it, like anything else, of course, right? Simply, you build it and they come. You have to get it in front of their eyeballs first. You have to tease them.
So at the beginning of this show, I had said that there's a differentiation between the videographer. No, I didn't say this. I said like the filmmaker and the cinema. And so, what do you think? You think people will more so people will adopt the term videographer over the cinematographer since cinema in the traditional sense is probably going to go by the wayside?
I think videographers aspire to be cinematographers.
Mhm.
Essentially, I do think they aspire to that. I don't think the two hurt each other. I don't really think it matters. It doesn't.
There's a pretentiousness to it as well, though. I
Of
feel like
course, when it comes to all the arts, filmmaking, in my experience, is like the most pretentious art form, in my opinion.
okay,
Because just screenwriting, just the idea of subtext is pretentious, but that's what writing is.
yeah.
In filmmaking, everything is pretentious, everything for sure. But I just don't think there's not a quarrel. There's no videographers and cinematographers butting heads, not at all.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's where this comes together real nicely. Is that a game like The Last of Us Part Two will sell the fuck, way more copies, way more downloads than any movie that's going to be in Hollywood this whole year. There's just it's such a cultural. It has transcended gaming as far as like a video game is concerned because it has so many social. It's in the mainstream media. The way that it's being talked about as being this social construct. video game that talks about, LGBTQ, all these different subjects, whereas movies
I
in
mean,
the sense
that's just in our life. Like I look around me, I see that in my life. So
maybe
yeah,
it's timing, I don't know, but the one thing that they can do is, okay, it came out on a good release. They push an update. It says here's chapter 3. Boom. You got it. Like in a week. They just hit it. Whereas you really can't do that with film, because it's not like you can, I feel like with film, what you have to do is wait till there's an actual release date where you can push out the box with the behind the scenes, that cut, the director's cut, the yada yada yada, all of that. You can't do that while it's still in the
kind of though. You know, when Disney Plus was released, it was released in tandem with Star Wars: The Mandalorian, which is a
yeah,
show. And so
yeah,
every week for 8 weeks or whatever, there was a new episode. That's a
yeah,
long
right,
form. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So they try to roll it out that way. They try.
right,
And
yeah, but
same thing with Tiger King, huge
oh yeah,
cultural phenomenon, like equivalent to the highest grossing movie this year, right? Like it was a cultural phenomenon. Netflix capitalized on it and was like, "Here's part 9," which was a glorified Zoom episode, right?
but
But they
isn't
capitalized on it in like 2 weeks, man. Like I'll give them credit for that, quite frankly.
that just like, but once they get an activation, there's not really much more that they can get than that. With something like a video game, they get an activation, but then they also sell them all these microtransactions and upcharges. And does the film industry have that? I would say no.
Well, that's my point. You know, I think the film industry is super limited compared to video
You
games.
could buy the poster, you could buy the merchandise, you could
I
buy
was just
the
watching a video essay that was talking about Star Wars and how they use fascist iconography, but not too fascist, where they are able to sell stormtrooper onesies, right? But how
oh
Disney's like,
right.
yeah, these are the evil fascist bad guys that are, you know, you think of Triumph of the Will or something when you watch it, but also we're gonna sell the shit out of Darth Vader memorabilia, right? And so
Yeah,
that's why Star Wars as an IP is so valuable, is because it's very lucrative. You have the merchandise, but so do video games. They got the Funko Pops. They
yeah.
all got the same shit, man. You know.
Yeah, it is in some ways it's still merchandised in the same way, but I mean, I'm not a, to be honest, I want to get into I want to get into video games in that regard, but like I came into video games from the competitive aspect of like who's winning? Is it Pac-Man, or is it, how do you win at this game? How do you play competitively? That's why I'm into esports.
Hmm.
Video games, I don't really I mean, I didn't play story games really that much, Like I the first
Hmm.
game I think I played was Frogger, man. And I was competing against, the kids in my neighborhood who could get across the road the fastest. It
Yeah.
wasn't
It's funny
I
you
didn't
say
come into
that.
video games
I was
the
I
way.
was the other way around. You know, like the games I loved as a child were the cinematic games because they were basically movies, like
Hmm.
Resident Evil. I love the cutscenes. Metal Gear Solid, which obviously are more cutscenes than gameplay, right? Like
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. As a child, I was like, give me more of that. Like, you know, I want to see the. I was never into Final Fantasy, like the gameplay,
yeah,
but I could watch
yeah,
my friends. I could watch them play it just for the movie parts, you know, for the
yeah,
cutscenes. But so I was the other way around, but I was never a gamer. Like I can throw it down. I have the basics of like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Super
yeah,
Smash. I
yeah.
can throw it down. Like I'm a, you know, people say they're a casual smoker.
Yeah,
Like yeah, I could pick up any controller and whoop your ass at some Street Fighter.
sure, yeah,
That's just the way that goes. You know, but
yeah,
I don't identify, I don't participate. It's just if it's there, I'm more inclined to pick up the controller than the keg or something
yeah.
at a social event.
I'd be honest, like sometimes I feel like people can get into my head and stuff like that. And so when you talked about earlier that there needs to be that aspect to esports, like how does like a person like Conor McGregor get into
Hmm.
somebody's head, and then there's that aspect of like the entertainment, the showman,
Hmm.
you know, there isn't really a personality like that in esports. I couldn't name one. I guess Ninja, but like Ninja's not esports, he's gaming.
Dude,
Um,
if I was into the space,
yeah,
I would be the Conor McGregor, man. I guarantee it. I would be on old
I could see that.
media, new media. I'd be on all the things. If
Yeah,
there was an esports event that took place at the Alamo Dome, I would walk
yeah,
in and I would have a custom made title belt,
yeah.
and Conor McGregor would be carrying my belt with me to the arena.
So now
He
that you know, think
heat,
about that.
the heat would be so good.
There is a character like that, but the thing is he's not a esports professional. He doesn't play for an organization. So that's like the thing is finding those type of characters that play for an organization. Because once you get that big, you might as well just be a live streamer. You might as well just play video games and people watch you. You know,
If you get
there's not a
that
big
big,
enough.
you might as well be an owner.
You might as well be an owner, right? You might as well be an owner. So like we're seeing the evolution of a Robert Kraft in esports.
Yeah,
Like we're not talking like it'll be interesting who owns IP in esports 100 years from now. Like that's where the interesting part comes in.
I agree.
Right now, it's like it's like the AFL and the NFL right now. But even before that, it's so blue collar in some ways.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said earlier, people play $1 million cash games behind closed doors for
Mm.
something. You don't really see, the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants, outside of the NFL playing a game against each other
Mhm.
and it being broadcast. You don't see that. I'm sure it has happened. I mean, I'm sure there is.
I think it's going to happen in this decade. It's going to happen.
There's just like random
No,
games between
where
professional
there
NFL players.
is like an NFL, a league essentially
Yeah.
of esports that takes precedent and is now as comparable as the NBA, MLB, what have you. Sure,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
for
Like
sure.
something that's, and at the level of that. But like the Overwatch League or the Call of Duty League, they're there, but nobody's having the conversation about the CDL or the OWL in tandem with the NFL or the NBA or something like that. I
Mm.
mean, unless you're like if you're in the industry like me, I mean, I kind of am, but I'm not even the best one. I'm not the slickest talker in the game, as far as that's concerned. I know people who work for ESPN, like Jacob Wolf or Devin Nash who works for Nerd Fusion, who's an agent. Like these sorts of guys, they talk that talk when they compare professional sports. That's the thing, professional sports to professional esports. The mainstream is not comparing the two. Like you're not hearing uh, Shaquille O'Neal in one line saying that LeBron is just the best, at basketball, and then talking about Ninja, but Ninja's not even a player. So it's like Crim Six, who plays for the Dallas Empire, being the this guy or that guy.
Yeah.
Like there just isn't a character at that level. I just mentioned somebody who's a professional player, or Scump who plays for the Chicago Huntsmen.
Every time I talk about esports with you, I find myself kind of more confused in a way because it's so vast, but it's not really, but it is. And it confuses me because, something like Coachella is
Yeah,
so understandable, right? Like you have all these acts, they come to the same place,
yeah.
you have a good weekend, right? There needs to be a that for esports, is all. It's all I'm talking about.
Well, DreamHack is that.
Okay. Yeah.
But here's the kicker. What if there was an event like that, but all the labels are like, we're not going to the event
Why would that happen?
because the publishers, the people who own the football, say they can't go to the game or go to that arena.
I don't understand. I really don't.
So it's like saying, okay,
In the music industry, as callous as it is, that doesn't really exist. You can't go
I
to
know,
Coachella.
yeah,
The
yeah,
fuck out of here.
yeah. In the music industry, it's different because nobody owns. Well, I mean, people own the microphone, but the microphone company isn't owned by the music company or the people. Atlantic doesn't own Sennheiser.
I don't know if they do or don't, to be honest. They could. I don't fucking know. I doubt it, right? I doubt it. I love Sennheiser,
Yeah,
but I doubt it.
for sure. Sorry.
It's good for the economy, and not that California needs it, but you know, it's that. What's another one? Like a Super Bowl, a WrestleMania. They need that. You know,
Well, that's what DreamHack is like.
See, I
I
just
guess
thought
what would be
DreamHack was a con. I thought it was a con, a convention.
like you mean like where people go talk about things? No, that's like South by Southwest Gaming is kind of like that. Where just
Or
the
like Comic
biggest.
Con. Comic Con became the place where all the nerds got together and like, but like also trailers were released and like info dropped. And for the week,
So like
that's what I thought DreamHack was.
no. It's not a conference in the sense like an E3, which is like
Right.
where Xbox comes out and talks about their new game. No,
Correct.
it's not like that. No,
Correct.
this is not. DreamHack is the largest collection of gamers that come together and play on a LAN
To do
in a
battle.
LAN environment to do battle. Yeah,
That's cool. That's cool. That's
yeah.
really cool.
And it is the smorgasbord of esports. It's got
Dude,
the FGC. It's
this
got
is
everything.
random. Hold on. Before I lose this thought, because I had wrote this down back in like 2017 and I forgot it, and it just came back to me. Now, I honestly feel like another reason why Facebook is super corny and not cool is because our moms are on it. They get it. Same thing happened to Instagram. It's going to happen to TikTok. It's the way it goes. But I remember when Facebook was like the bougie place to be in like 2009,
Oh,
10,
I see
11.
where I see where this.
Well, let's see if you do. And then and this is just in my world, you know, so I have a very secular way of seeing things. And so far as my cinema is my God. And then the movie The Social Network came out. Now, I was hanging out with people that were like, The Social Network, a movie about Facebook? That's stupid. That is stupid. I'm not going to watch that. The trailer did it for me. I'll send you the trailer and you'll be like, oh, this, I can see why you're hyped at the time. And it actually made me get a Facebook because of the movie. And I appreciated what a social media platform was as an art, as a relic of fashion, as this ever growing, evolving, fluid thing. And and so like there are movies going back to filmmaking, and it's poets like me and David Fincher who create these shorthands that give people the vocabulary to see macrocosm. And so you need a Rocky to bring more people interested in boxing. You need the movie The Social Network to bring more people into social media. I think there just needs to be a movie that is the Rocky equivalent for gamers, you know,
So
and that takes place at a dream hack or whatever, and we're chronicling this guy. It's the 8 Mile story. Gamers, there hasn't been that really. There really hasn't, in a way that like that is the crossover. There are game
to
inspired,
scale, you're talking
like
mainstream.
if the Social Network movie could successfully do that in a way that like it got nominated for Academy Awards and made a lot of
Oh
money, blah blah blah.
yeah.
If it can do it in a way that like, and now it's a household thing. Like a lot of people didn't know who Mark Zuckerberg was before that movie. It's just
Yeah,
same thing with boxing. Boxing's always been big. It's been big forever, but the Rocky movie made people want to train. Like it inspired people to run up steps. Like the Rocky movie became this shorthand that was ubiquitous with working out, you know?
yeah.
And so a movie comes once in a generation. I know that sounds pretentious, but that that becomes the new shorthand. It becomes the like what's like the most recent example, you know? And I'll use I remember growing up, this is how old I am, when 8 Mile came out,
Yeah,
the next year or two, Hustle and Flow came out. I was more of a Hustle and Flow guy. It
right.
was
Yeah,
more my
no,
kind of story.
for sure.
But like 8 Mile was the rap movie. And so no one even knew what battle rapping was or what any of that culture was
Oh, yeah.
until Anton Fuqua or whoever made 8 Mile. Sorry if it wasn't the right director. I could be wrong about that. But and so you need these movies that for it's the perfect storm that vibes and connects and hits the right heartstrings with the mainstream for people to be like, that I get it now. I get what
Yeah,
esports is. I get what a gamer is. Because
yeah.
most gamers have this title that they have to overcome, this stench on them Just the word gamer comes with this baggage that like you're a slacker, you're a nobody, you're a
Mhm.
bum. Like there's
Mhm.
still that. You just need to flip that the way. Like think
Yeah.
about this. You don't need to be a gangsta to be a rapper today. Guys like
Yeah.
Kanye, Drake, Cuddy, guys like that, kind of now you just have to be cool to be a rapper. It's the same thing with gamers. Like you need a Drake equivalent that's inside an inside man, not Drake coming in and no, 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 no. I personally think he's placating. That's just me. I'm like this anti-Drake guy. You know that. That's a conversation for another
Right.
time. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but you need like if Ninja really just had the swag that a Lil Wayne had, I think he could be even bigger and bring even more people into the culture, right? So there needs to be that.
There is these things you're talking about are real. I
There's
want to start off.
elements.
I want to
There's
start off.
elements, but it hasn't been done right ever.
I want to start off. I want to start off with where you started off with Facebook. I'm talking about the social network movie. So here's a point of conversation that I think we should have, like this versus this. So do you think that Facebook is hacky in the definition of lacking originality
Of course.
and you
Yes, of
know,
course. I do.
well, the irony of it
It's
is that
in its DNA.
yes,
Yes.
it is. And so DreamHack is hacky in that way too. You have this environment that, and it's in the name, DreamHack is
That's
in the
like
name
this
too.
this culture vulture kind of aspect to it, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because gamers inherently don't want gaming to be commercialized in
Ooh,
that way. You know what I
interesting.
mean?
I
They
didn't know that.
don't want, because there's that anonymity that they just want to play the game. And this sentiment mostly comes from the FGC community and the speedrunners and the games that are kind of on the fringe. They don't want to be popular. You know what I mean? They don't want to be famous. The people who want to be famous are the folks that are like playing the competitive games. So there's playing the competitive games that are mainstream games. So so when you bring up the fact that like why hasn't there been a movie that depicts the uh the normie is the word for it, the normie of video games. So like the a normie in video gaming would be someone who plays like sports games like FIFA, NBA, hockey.
That's elitist, but go on.
What do you mean?
It's the equivalent, like it's elitist, it's bougie. It's the equivalent of like the cinephile versus the person that goes to the movies twice a year. What are
Yes.
they gonna
Yes.
see? They're gonna
Yes, it
watch
is.
a Disney thing or they're gonna watch a Marvel thing. That's about it.
Yes, it
It's
is.
the
And
casual
there's some
movie viewer versus the cinephile, right?
yes. Yes, there is this belittling aspect in
It's
the
an
gaming
elitism.
industry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so the grassroots aspect of gaming is niched to the FGC community. The people who play Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Smash Brothers, those guys at a local level actually can form the tournaments that play against other gamers. It seems like the games that are normie or mainstream are fabricated in the sense that they're hiring the people who play for these teams are just glorified actors. Like they're not necessarily the best at the game. Like there's no scouting combine that players go to get a shot at playing at the big in front of the big leagues or whatever you want to call it, right? And so it's kind of like this self-preservation thing that the reason why this is because the people who are the professionals, the professional players, the reason why they have that seat is because it's essentially like sitting at a desk at Apple or whatever. You're getting like 30 to 60K a year, like in your contract, plus tournament money if you win the tournaments, right? It's not. you're not getting like the players aren't making a whole lot of money. Like you hear like a player like Booga, I wrote it down, who did get this kind of documentary video of him as he progressed to be the number one Fortnite solo player and winning I never remember how much he won. Like $1 million or something like that, right? In one felt swoop of one game. And so when you walk away with that much money, like there's no incentive to go back and be professional again, you know? Especially when you come from like a
How
socioeconomic.
many take poker for example in the same space? It's a game. It's a game. You know how many people have multiple bracelets though, and they're making way more than $1 million.
Oh, you won 3 million, not 1 million. So yeah, no, I hear what you're saying there. Also, like I said, I think that the professionals at the top, it's hacky in the sense that these people are positioned to win. Like they're not the best players, right? They're the players who were
I
who
know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. I think you're too close to the world to kind of
true.
see the movie that I want you to see. You know, I'm
Mm.
talking about, you know, there's a guy who works at
I
the
think
job,
close to
that gets fired, you know, can't get another job, is playing games, hears that there's the best player of this game is walking away with $3 million, and it's like, what? So this guy trains.
yes.
This guy trains, goes up the ladder, beats the
Yeah.
bougie motherfuckers, beats the 65-year-old old guard, beats the Asian wonderkind, right? And then
Yeah.
who's he got to fight? His shadow self. Whatever it is.
Yeah,
Whatever it
yeah,
is,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
thematically speaking.
Yeah.
And then maybe he doesn't win, but he walks away with $700,000. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. He gets the girl, but he doesn't win. What there needs to be like basically like a sexy version of this space movie.
You
You know,
but
there are
I
good movies, fire movies about chess. There's
yeah,
Poker the movie, like
yeah.
Rounders.
Router.
Like there's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
every genre of sport has that. I
Yeah.
don't think the gaming industry does.
It does,
Not really.
but
What's
it
the
doesn't have
movie?
the realism that you're talking about.
Well, it doesn't have the style, it doesn't have the vision. That's all it needs. That's all it needs.
Perspective. So like look, Ready Player One was a movie that came out
That,
that
I know, but that's
depicts
that's
what
a
you're
science
talking
fiction.
about.
That's a science fiction movie, though.
And then they're coming out with that spin-off movie from that Ryan Reynolds movie that they shot for Netflix,
I
Free
know
Guy.
that's taking a gaming element and using it as a like a special effects sort of thing. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. I know what you're saying, but there's no
I know
round.
what you're talking about. You're talking about The Wrestler. You're talking
Exactly.
about Rocky. You're
Yep.
talking about Coach Carter. You're
Mm-hmm.
talking about
Remember the
those type of
Titans.
movies. Remember the
Friday Night
Titans,
Lights.
Invincible, like
Absolutely.
those type of movies. Yes.
Yeah.
It, the, you know,
Or even The Social Network or
right.
Amadeus. It's funny, we're spazzing.
It,
I forgot for like a whole hour that this is a live podcast stream thing. For a whole hour I forgot about that. But yeah, I think if there was, I think it could turn on a whole new demographic that was dormant before onto the scene and kind of become this shorthand of like, oh, I get it. I get it now.
think that it'd be very difficult. It'd be very difficult for someone who is disconnected from the scene to tell it in an organic way.
I think this is where
And
like
also, I don't think I've met anybody who has the creative mindset in the industry to
the
do it.
tenets of storytelling are all the same. Like a guy falls in love with the girl,
Mm-hmm.
dude. His story as old as time.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
the person who needs to win a fight to get the money to support their family is a story as old as time. It doesn't matter if it's Warrior, it doesn't matter if it's name the movie, you know. Whatever the
Yeah.
genre is, you can apply it with a gaming world.
Maybe there's just no money to be made in it
I don't think so.
from the studios. The studios are like, what? So they're just like, we're not making this movie because there's
This
no
is
money.
where the filmmaker romanticist in me comes in, of where you don't need that cosign. You don't need it.
Right. For like an independently produced film,
So
right?
it's the same thing. What you're saying, you just described the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. The studio wasn't behind that, and it had an IP, that was just don't fuck it up, and people were gonna go watch it. It had an IP, and so they didn't give that movie any money to be made. No, nothing. But it made a Billy, right? So it just needs to connect. It needs to connect. Christopher Nolan is going to show his movies inside Fortnite. You
Yeah,
have
no,
the
yeah,
right thought leaders that understand the culture, that know all you got to do is just bring the flowers to the door and the culture will do the rest. They know that. You make this movie and you debut it in Minecraft, or you debut it in whatever, Call of Duty or some shit, you debut it in the game, people are going to fucking watch it. It becomes memeified. Away you go. It's the new shorthand. That's
yeah.
how these things work. You just need the vision. You just need the story. You need the right actors. That's it. That's all you need. Period.
That's true. That's true. That's true. But
The Taylor's old.
but if okay, I may be too close to the sun on this, but I know there are people trying to do this, and it seems like it's almost like the movie Artemis Fowl, right? That movie, I read the book when I was a child. Like that movie was supposed to come out in 2014.
Yeah,
What is this movie that they release on Disney Plus? This doesn't make any sense. This is not the movie that was supposed to come out.
yep,
Like,
yep,
it
yep.
was just like, what? And so like I fear that's what would happen with a story
Of
like
course.
you're talking.
But here's the thing. It's like Tupac. Like it might, even the Abomination could be the thing that inspires the movie that will get made. That's the thing that you wanted it to be. You know,
Right.
for
Correct.
sure.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just the way it goes, man. Like there might be 9 flops. Like without Purple Rain, not that Purple Rain was a flop, but you don't get 8 Mile without Purple Rain. You don't
Oh
get
yeah, true.
you don't get 8 Mile without Rocky either.
Mm.
It's just the way it goes. But no, I think with you get the right cast, the right director, you have the commitment to follow through. Hell, maybe it's a documentary. Maybe it's a documentary. Um,
Yeah.
but if it's presented in a way where contextually it vibes with the culture at the right time and it's embraced, that way you go. Period.
True, true, true. And so like right now, like the only thing that I see that's commercially viable that they're trying to release is like there's this, they're trying to do in esports like what they did with the Netflix show where the house or the ring or what the heck was it? Where all the gamers are put in a house and
Oh,
they're trying to do something like that.
that's
I know
cool.
a little bit
That's
about
cool.
that production.
It's
Um
kind of like The Circle, right?
Yeah, kind of like the circle. And then they're also trying to do another shoot off, kind of like a Kim Kardashian style one on Quibi with FaZe Clan. That's public information that's out. But I don't know if it just sounds like, the reality television show, the reality game show, they're trying to make those things work. They've done the documentary, they put it out on YouTube. I don't know, man. I feel like once again something to be done right in that regard in this idea of there being a movie about a player who has to overcome being the worst player to become the best player or third place player. That story, it needs thousands of people on the set like
Yeah.
that.
Or
And
or or you make 100 people on the set look like 1,000. That's filmmaking. You know what I'm saying?
true.
Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course, of course. It's movie magic, baby. My favorite. Did you ever see Rounders, the movie?
I did. I watched it
My,
real
my
recently.
favorite. I
Yeah.
grew up with it, right?
Yeah.
So I was a big Ed Norton guy growing up, so I saw all his movies. But my favorite moment is where Matt Damon is telling his coach, like, I know I can beat the KGB guy. I know I can beat him. He's like, nah, you can't beat him. Because
Oh
the movie
yeah.
starts off like 8 Mile, as a matter of fact, where he chokes, he loses everything. So when the movie
Yeah.
starts off, he's already at the bottom. And
Hold
then,
on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
yeah,
I'll be
yeah, yeah.
right back.
This is your stream, bro. Look at Trent walk away from his stream. So guess what? I'm going to pull Brian Kern. Indie Darlings right here. We be selling masks. So if you guys need a mask, visit indiedarlings.net or our Etsy page and get yourself a mask. We're selling masks. COVID-19. We're selling masks, Trent.
I had some more.
Very good. Very good. I was just on a podcast talking about rounders. That was good. The fuck did you lay that down? Sorry. So my favorite part is when he's telling John Turturro, like, no, I know I can beat Teddy KGB. yeah, no, I can beat him. He's like, because I beat John Chan or whatever his name was. I beat him in Vegas 1-on-1. I bluffed him and I kicked his ass. And if I could beat the best in the world, I know I can beat him, right? That little beat right there, you got to have that in gaming, in the gaming movie. You know, while this character is having his dark night of the soul moment in the first act, he puts on the Xbox, whatever, and he doesn't know that he's playing ninja, but he is, and he beats him. So when he tells his homeboy, he's like, "Dude, I beat the best in the world. I think I could win this tournament." That's all the precedent and momentum and inertia you need to rocket strap this protagonist, and then you have a good movie. That's all you need. That's all you need.
Do you
Just need the
think they
right team.
sold out? Do you think they sold out that story already by doing this Free Guy movie? Because all the mainstream gamers are supposed to be in this movie.
I don't
So
know.
the true story, could you still tell that story with, or would you just like make it totally just fake characters, like just create random fake
I
team,
think gamers and that
or is it seated
community.
in reality?
I think it needs to be in reality, a high end reality with Easter eggs that only gamers would know. Like, I don't know what the gaming equivalent of some sort of legend is. Like, I don't know Ninja. I don't know how good he actually is, right? But it would take like whoever's elite to be beaten and to lend their name, and maybe they're a cameo. Maybe they're in a cameo. I think hardcore gamers
Yeah.
appreciate that moment, right?
What's it called whenever you like you sit at the table and you kind of go over these sorts of ideas for a movie? I feel like we're doing that,
Yeah.
and
It's just brainstorming.
yeah,
It's just riffing.
yeah, and I feel like what I feel like in this scenario is that like someone's gonna steal the idea. Like even if we
I
made the
hope they
movie,
do.
I
Because
hope they
guess
do too.
what? You know how
It'd be a great movie.
you know how hard it would be, the labor that you have to put in to bring this thing into fruition?
Oh,
Steal it. Take the idea, Elon Musk releases prototype visions all the time. Who the fuck's gonna steal it?
someone has to be doing it. That anytime there's something in an idea, someone's doing it.
Well, I
Someone
hope
has
so.
to be doing it.
I hope so.
But the one thing about the film industry is secretive. So is the gaming industry. Like they don't want to let you know when GTA 6 is coming out. They don't tell you when, they're gonna, I don't know, what's something that's gone that they bring back. Like they've been talking about Mike Tyson's Punch Out, like coming back,
Right.
like that. They never tell you what's happening in the studios behind closed doors.
Yeah. That's interesting. Do you know how to build an app?
I'm getting
Getting on the App Store must be pretty hard, huh? I bet you can't just upload your app to the App Store. Do you
I
agree?
was hearing, well, I mean, I read a document recently about this company that's coming out called Hey.com, Heya.com, and they're an email company, and apparently they're in like this back and forth argument with Apple because Apple wants to get a cut off of their subscriptions because they charge subscriptions for their email service. It's supposed to be like encrypted and they don't sell your information like Gmail or whatever. So Apple wants a cut and they're like, we're not going to give you a cut of the subscription. So I mean, it's complicated, I guess, in the sense that you have to meet a standard of what an Apple app looks like, but then
I
on
guess.
top of that, there's like the like economics of it.
Interesting. That, I guess that makes sense. Is because I just got the idea to release a movie via an app. So, say the movie is called Trent Knox the Movie, and it's at the App Store. All you gotta do is download the app, and when you open the app, it's the movie.
Yeah.
That'd be like the coolest way to do it. No overhead, not really. Put it on the App Store. So all people got to do is type in the App Store, Trent Knox. It comes up, you download it, you're watching it on your phone. Period. Or your iPad. What the fuck is wrong with that? And the only barrier to entry is like 99 cents. Ooh. That would be really cool. And if you wanted to make money off of it and be like a whore, you could just build the app that other filmmakers can put their films on your app. You know what I'm saying? And so that app is essentially like, it's just a place to store and distribute movies that people can buy a ticket for and keep forever for 99 cents or whatever it is you want to bill it for.
That's
That would
kind
be
of,
cool.
I mean, that's what I think the esports business network is going to be.
What, an app?
Well, not an app, but a website that people publish their esports specific courses, sort of like,
Mm,
I'm stealing this idea from Robert, obviously,
mm.
but, building out that, that platform where you get your introductory experience to esports and, you know, which doesn't really exist. It doesn't, like, there's not a place you can go to better understand what it is esports as a culture. And then on top of that, the additional thing you get is the feeling like you're part of a community. And then on top of that, you get actually taught life skills on how to communicate and get a job and how to retain a job in the space. So it's like,
Now, I think that's so ambitious. Like, I couldn't do that with filmmaking world. I could not do that. I
Mhm.
would rather
Well,
give
that's
a
like building
filmmaker,
Vimeo or whatever.
I suppose, I'd rather give a filmmaker money so they can make a movie
Yeah.
and I'll take a cut. I'd rather be a producer.
You'd rather be an investor.
A producer, right? Like an EP. I'd rather be an EP than teach someone how to do something. Like, it's just so
Is the
subjective.
teacher, isn't he?
No, not really. You can teach courses. You see the masterminds and you see the master classes all the time,
Right.
but on set, they're not really there to educate.
Oh, no, 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 no.
They're
Right,
there
right.
to
But I'm talking about
articulate.
the end product. The end product is like, isn't the director teaching in his movie? Like in the movie that he produces and he puts out there, you and I watch it and we're like, oh, he chose to do it this way because of this and this and this.
Yeah, I would say, audio commentaries are more educational than the movie themselves. Jackass the movie isn't educational per se, you
Mhm.
know, but one can be educated by watching a movie. Yes. I just don't think that's maybe always the director's intent. But yeah, the project that you're talking about is just so ambitious that I wouldn't know how to go about it at all.
It is not easy. And like today, I felt like, the money that I put into it, the time that I put into it, the everything that I put into it seems like, I just had a negative perspective today. It was just like, man, is it worth anything? Is there any value? Am I doing it right? I will this have an audience? Like, does that audience mean that there's a market? And could I talk to Sally and John and their son Billy and say, Billy's graduating from high school and he's looking for, he can't afford necessarily to go to
What
a technical school.
monetize? Why don't you just monetize the information? Why don't you just sell a course and do an hour talk and all that stuff?
But the thing is like I don't have any aspiration to be, you know, uh Ty Lopez or Grant Cardone or
You don't?
a person. Thing I believe, and I don't know, maybe this is imposter syndrome, but I feel as though I haven't had an esports brand. Let's start off there. That is recognized currently in esports. I've had adjacent media companies that I went to and covered content, and then I used that and I sent it to Austin Live and Local or Cyber City Media, these two people, or Trent Knox Productions for the people who follow Trent Knox as a person. Those three outlets have seen esports content, but I haven't owned a team or a tournament organization or something like that to be like, oh, I did this before I did this. So I guess my
And
jujitsu on that is like,
I know how you feel. It's the equivalent of being an aspiring filmmaker. It's like, yeah, in theory, I'm a filmmaker, but I haven't made a movie. That's a
yeah,
I remember the anxiety and the imposter stuff and all that shit of being there, you know?
yeah, yeah. And while online, like on paper, there's some validation, you know, in the real world, when I look at the guys, if I was in the room with the guys, I was
Trent
like, oh,
Trent Knox.
what's up?
If Could you find one person that would need your service?
Yes, I
Okay.
have people who need my
If you
service.
find that one person, can you change their life with your knowledge and your information?
Yes, well,
Okay.
I do that.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Document that process.
I hear that. Hear
That
that.
is everything, because like this is going to sound super corny, but please hear me out. It was like the only good part of the movie, the Justice League movie. That movie's shit. It's a piece of shit. But the best part is the Flash is like, what do I do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do, Batman. Batman's just like, just save one person. And the Flash is like, which one? He's just like, Batman's like, just save one person, and then you'll know what to do, right? Flash ends up saving like 40 people. That was so deep to me. Like, just one. It's not about saving the galaxy, saving the universe, saving the world, saving the city. Save one person. That was good advice, Batman. That's some good advice. And it's the same thing. Like anytime you get that, what do I do? And you start getting those doubts. Like doubt is like the scariest fucking virus there is, you know.
Yeah.
And it comes creeping onto anybody. But if you can find one guy and change their life with what you do, and you
Yeah.
document that, I think that's totally worth your time. And then you can take that proof and then save two people, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. You have a business that where now, are you working on the business or are you working in the business? Do you need to hire a CEO? Cool, you hire the guy, and then you're more hands-on, or you're more managing and you're training people to do the Trent Knox thing, and then it becomes a business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how all these fucking things grow, man. Jeff Bezos had to
So
sell one book before he got to being a trillionaire.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so where I'm at right now is like I feel like I'm the one I'm saving. And that's not, I don't know if that's good. I feel like the reasoning is good. The what should we call it? The message behind it is good. In the sense is like was the that I'm doing it for myself, that I'm being genuine, it's not disingenuous.
That's good. It's like, imagine being in the nutrition supplements space. And if you're making a pre-workout, you should be taking that pre-workout, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're like, it works, and, look at my results. I ran a
Yeah.
marathon.
Yeah.
Great. So now it's like, who's someone that could benefit off of that? You give them the pre-workout. They run a marathon too. That's 1, 2, 5, 10, and so on. Like that's how it starts, man. That's how it
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe is like who's like a musician that it could be a rapper, it could be a country guy, it could be anybody. It doesn't matter if I know them. But what's an example of a musician, a musical act that you like, and kind of only you like, but they have their audience? But like if you're in the car with the homies and they give you the aux cord and they say, hey Trent, put it on something, and then you put this musical act on and people are giving you shit for it because only you like it but not everybody else likes it. Like, what's an example of a musical act that's like that for you?
I'd say about a year ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago, I'd said Little Peep.
Okay, Lil Peep.
Would have been that.
Lil
Yeah.
Peep, before Lil Peep existed and put his
Yeah.
music out there were already the minds that were ready to receive his music, that were going to vibe with it.
Right.
Even before Lil Peep put any music out, there were already the minds, the culture, the audience that existed. So then he had to present it and push it, right? You have to believe in your product so much that you believe that the culture for your business, that the audience already exists. All you have to do is show them, put the music out there, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and then you
Mm-hmm.
have that audience, right? But you have
Yeah.
to show them. It can't just be lyrics on the sheet of paper. You have to bring the presentation to them. If you document you changing one person's life, that's in direct proportion of like releasing a track on SoundCloud or Spotify or whatever, right? And then release another track. Now I have 10 people whose lives I've changed. That's an EP. The Trent audience is, or the Esports Business Network, EBN network, it's going to grow from that. It starts with 10. Maybe in the first year you got 10. That's amazing. amazing. That is amazing. I have one friend like in Austin, Texas, let alone have I changed 10 people's lives with my work. You know what I mean? 10 people is amazing. You know, and then you bring those 10 people along and you do a talk in front of them and you give them the updated version of your thing. Wow, you document that. That's how Gary Vee got to where he's at, man. I mean, that's just the truth. I love him for that. It's my favorite thing about Gary Vee is that he's
Mhm.
documented everything before it was hot and while it got white hot. And right now, when it's peak pessimism, he's doing it still. I
Mhm.
love him for that. I
Yeah.
love him for that. No one has the work ethic that he has outside of like a Kevin Hart or like a Dwayne. Oops,
Mhm.
my battery died. Let me swap it. I got
I
an
can
extra
still
one.
hear you, so
Yeah. But just letting you know, man. Just letting you know. Don't
just
start
saying, man,
with
you're being
one
super
person.
positive, and I like that. I like that, and you know, I think the thing that I want to get to the point where I get the chance to do all of that, to have somebody helping me with the documenting like Gary Vee does or whatever. Like that's amazing. That's awesome. I'm like today is one of those days where I just decided I needed to get on and do a video and make it happen, yada yada yada, all that. And I saw yours, and that was definitely inspirational to get on there. And I have, I got in my in my schedule, I'm supposed to be doing the Q2 wrap up, talking about all the things that business have been going on in my life, and talk about the journey that EBN has brought to me and these things. And I don't want to give too much out of that. Take too much away from that solo podcast. EBN, man, it's my life right now in so many ways. I don't think about anything else but it. And I have some negative things in my thoughts in my head about not being close enough to the source. I can definitely pay attention to the guys who are, right there on the source, have all the sources, they get the information early, but I don't know when or how, if this EBN thing is even a news network, or even if it's in that way, if it does those things. But what I do know is that I feel like I'm getting closer to breaking deals and making money, and helping more people. I mean, I'm helping people, but money is something that's not a huge money maker. I still have to scavenger for opportunities in video production. I was thinking about that today. I was like, man, I'm just not, I'm not there. I don't know how to find clients. I don't have a CRM. All these things, and being an independent person, you just kind of have to stumble upon it. It just has to either come to you, or you have to be in the right situation to make money. And you can go and get a job washing cars or washing dishes, or entry level position or something like that. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna sacrifice everything to do only the thing that you want to do. And you're not gonna go out. You're not gonna waste your time doing something that
I think
fun.
what you just said is what an entrepreneur is. Sometimes they don't make their money back the first year, the second year, or the third. That's when you know you're an entrepreneur. you know, I really believe that. Like you hear those stories all the time.
Yeah, I think, I'm burning cash right now. I know it. I'm burning cash. I'm pulling, at the same point in time, I'm getting myself out of debt with the gigs like that you've shot me before, or the ones that just come across, from the networking that we do or whatnot. And being involved with Robert's thing, being involved, having you as a good friend, having, Brian around, these sort of things that you pick up little gigs, and you get to do those things, and it push you a little bit further closer to your dream. And you keep on doing those things. You grind it, you grind it, you grind it. You know, that's what happens. But then you hear stories like the Ninja and the Shroud deal, where the company that they work for collapses, and they get $30 million for 6 months of work, or $10 million for 6 months of work. And it's like, man, they aren't doing anything like that isn't self-serving. Like it doesn't. There's you know you don't those guys. Maybe they're investing. Maybe they're investors. Maybe they're doing that. But I don't know. When you talked about you talked about you don't have the drive to go and build the sort of thing that I'm building, or not the drive, but the motivation or whatever,
Well, yeah,
desire, all of those things, like,
yeah,
and you know, and that you would be a producer, an executive
yeah,
producer, or something like that.
yeah.
But I have to, if even if I was coming to Knives saying, "Hey, Knives, would you invest $1,000 in this business for, I don't know, 5, 10% or something like that?" It would have to be something that sounded like what you were talking about, that movie, where he's against all odds. He
Yeah.
beats the biggest, baddest boss. And then he doesn't, he leaves away with a broken arm and 6 stitches, but you know, I don't know. I don't, a couple weeks ago, I was, applying for an accelerator program that was looking for like they took 8% or something like that, and I was listening to, podcasts about accelerators and what you should offer for what, and if you're pre-alpha or alpha or beta, where you're at in your stage, what do you do to what do you offer? How much do you offer for how much money? And I evaluated the company at 3.25 million in a pre-alpha state because I already built up all the infrastructure, everything's there, and it's the the investment would be just to build out, what I'm already building out because we're going to be moving in without investment into alpha state, and just $50,000 sounds like a whole lot of money, but you hear about companies that got angel investments of 10 million and blew up and never made any money. So it's just like, I don't know. I really believe I can make it. I can not I believe that in 3 years this company is going to be profitable, guaranteed. The complication is that right now I'm just having to, I'm having to struggle financially in order to push the concept forward, and it will happen. I got the lane, the track, everything's built just like
And these are
in my
rough
mind.
times. These are really rough times, man, too. Like,
Yeah.
we're in the middle of a pandemic. You have to remember that. Like, there are restaurants that are going to be closed forever. There are companies that are collapsing. There are people that are on unemployment at an all-time high. Like, it's a hard time, man. It's a fucking hard time for everybody, for sure. On
Yeah,
top of everything else that's going on. It's nuts.
but the thing, I've not had an idea like this before. I mean, I guess Austin Live and Local could have been kind of like this idea, but at the same point in time, like, that fits into a box that's not cutting edge. Austin Live and Local is a news
You might
organization.
be Have you heard Gary say this? It's one of my favorite things that he said, and that you might just be early. Is
To
that
the dance.
possible? Yeah, like
There's no girls at the dance yet, so there's no one to
yeah,
dance with.
yeah, and so you might just be early, and so this idea might fully pop in 2025, but the thesis is right. You know, can you call it and say I'm gonna pause this in 2025? We'll bring it back. Like it might be the right thesis, but
Mhm.
you might just be very early.
Yeah, I
Think
mean,
about how early
so
Nikolai Tesla was before he could actually do what he needed to do. That motherfucker was very early.
right. Yeah, I think the thing is that I want to be, I want to get in early so that it's connected to the foundation, you know, or at least it's in the circuitry, or the diaspora of the story, because I don't want to be. Well, I don't know, like Coca-Cola wasn't the first bottled Coke, I'm sure, but I definitely want to have brand recognition in the sense that, like, I want to be an OG. Like, I think OG means something. Being being
The
sort of like
pioneer.
pioneering it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like that means something. Does it? Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think people
to an
recognize
extent.
that.
To an extent, I had this idea for a business before I even knew how to run a business, and I might sneeze. And I just didn't have the right vocabulary to articulate what I was trying to do, but I could get people motivated behind it and inspired, and like, it was there. Long story short, like 5 years later, it became Indie Darlings,
Mm, mm.
and the branding, the idea, like a few things changed, tweaked it here and there, but the thesis is the same. The thesis is the same. And that's just, it's funny. Like I was reading my journal and I was seeing the first iteration of that idea and just how early it was, like, especially in my hometown in the Valley where nobody is interested in media. Nobody. No one sees money in it. No one takes it seriously. So much peak cynicism is in that community. And then you know, flash 5 years later and now it's like the hottest thing in town type thing. That's really interesting to me. But I will say like being an OG, like it's that's just an ego thing. It's just ego. I don't know how precious you are about the ego.
Okay, no, 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 no,
For
no,
me, I
no,
try
no,
to
no, 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 no,
minimize it more
no,
and
no,
more.
no,
I'm
no,
just
no.
saying.
I'm not talking about me being an OG. I'm talking about the company. The company being
Right, but right now the
an
company's just
OG.
you. Right now.
Well, no, I mean, other than the people that I pay to do the other stuff that I can't do. So, I mean, as far as like the company, okay, so you're saying a lot of things, and I think we need to break down and separate some things. So, I wanted to say that Esports Business Network is an indie darling in the sense that even on the LinkedIn page, it's an independent esports company, which means there's one owner, which is myself. Well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that, but it is the truth. I am the only owner. I have no investment. I'm doing self-funding the business. And it being independent in the sense it's not connected to a bigger brand like Blizzard or something like that, you know? So it's just I want to separate myself as much from this business, and I see myself exiting this business and replacing myself as a CEO, owner, operator, all of that stuff long term, maybe a 5 year tenure. And that's the thing, you talk about it being not successful till 5 years,
No, I'm just saying
and
being early. You can have the right idea at the wrong time. It's not going to work.
yeah, but
You need to
if
have
I
the
want
right
to
idea
exit
at the
in
right
five
time.
years, if I want to exit in 5 years, then we're talking, 2030. Like, if it's not successful till 2025, then I have to run the company while it's successful for 5 more years. So I can have an exit for another 10 years. It's like a decade, which is not a problem. It's just, you got to run a business for a decade. I'm 26. So like when I listen to, other people who've done it, like founders who've been successful, um, 26 is it's not late, but like it's in the 75 percentile, right? It's not in the 25
I
percentile.
I think you're being very hard on yourself, man. Very hard on yourself.
Well, I mean, I don't have a ton of capital to burn. I'm in that position where I have to get to market. I have to get a, fucking a viable product market, whatever the hell it's called, uh, product market viability or whatever. And I have to have a deck and do all the things that have to be done to pitch to investors and accelerator or incubators or something to get it to be something. I can keep on hiring contractors, but I can't hire employees in a deficit. So the whole concept of all this money that was spent in stimulus by the government to create new businesses and get people back to work because businesses are in record numbers, businesses are shutting down and going into bankruptcy, and then bullshit news anchors going on television talking about, oh well, the market's up or the market's down, there's employees number, blah blah blah, all of this new jobs, the job, whatever, just garbage. Too many. I mean, my Facebook feed is full of people who are like, I haven't been able to get back to work. My company shut down. 900 people were laid off. Yada yada yada, and they're all going around just lying, just straight lying about this whole thing. and all I want to do is create jobs. All I want to do is create jobs, you know? And unfortunately, I'm not like, the thing that I'm versed in now is esports, not construction. Because if I, what if like I knew a whole lot about construction, then I'd probably be like the guy who does the specialty in cement or something like that, and I'd start a business that was like that. And there's like practical jobs that could be built for infrastructure of the roads and get government contracts and all of that stuff. But I'm building something that's B2B. It means that it's going to be companies that, game publishers that are looking to turn their game into an esport. And I'm just like an operator connecting, like a Nerd Fusion or a Loaded to the influencer, a Dream Hack to the thing, so that they can actually have like a consumer a consumer foundation to build and to have a competitive tournament organization behind them. And it's, I don't know, it's frustrating to just not have the court of public opinion being by your side and helping you, with the mainstream and all of that. The mainstream still sees gaming in with a negative light, like it, not positively. They see them as like lazy people, good for good for nothing, like all of these things. When in reality, these kids just want to be as successful as LeBron James or Michael Jordan, any professional, you know,
Hmm.
and I said a lot of stuff there. Like, I talked about how you do a startup, how you build a startup, what you need to get what you need to be thinking, the vocabulary about getting a startup. I talk about those things, and then I kind of segued that into the niche or the aesthetic of my business, and it such a uh being such a niche market. And what fucking sucks about it is that Mixer shuts down in the most unopportune time, because it just goes to show you the volatility of the industry. It's like, wait, Microsoft couldn't make money doing it, then nobody can make money doing it.
I mean, all industries have an Achilles heel, man. Like they all have weak. I mean, if COVID didn't happen, does that happen to Mixer? We'll never know. Maybe, maybe not. There's a lot of fucking factors going on where Disney took a hit. Everybody took a hit. Netflix is one of the few, and Tesla for some weird reason, but are one of the few companies that did not take a hit and were able to still grow during this time, that are quote unquote recession or not epidemic, pandemic proof. So it's hard, man. It really is. It really is. I come from a different philosophy of entrepreneurship and business and being an owner operator than I think you do. And I think both are valid for sure. In your space, it's just very, very challenging because it's nebulous, man. Like it's almost like you said, it's a culture, but it's like a mental culture. It's not actually real. I can't walk into the esports brick and mortar right now, today, this second, and rub some elbows. It's
Yeah.
it's weird.
Well,
So
even if you could, there's not going to be a ton of people there.
so if I'm an investor, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, well, did the pandemic make that any worse? I don't know, but it obviously is a contributing factor. If it was Jocko Willink on this, he would not say that's not a factor. That's a
Right.
major factor. And we don't. I mean, as far as large scale events are concerned, they're scheduled for Q4, but I mean, the way that the I mean, for obviously the demographic for esports is the younger demographic, which means that there's less of a risk for COVID-19. But they're talking about an upsurge. They're
Nobody
talking about the
knows.
cases going up anyway.
No, nobody knows. And truth be told, man, like November, no matter how you look at it, shit's gonna hit the fucking fan. that election week, man, it's gonna be nuclear. The pessimism, no matter where it goes, it's gonna be fucking nuts, and businesses will be impacted as well, for sure.
You think we're just getting so much closer? Dude, that's so interesting because that's
Oh, dude,
exactly.
it's going to be nuclear. Like, you got to batten down the hatches right now. You got to board up your windows right fucking now, man. It's gonna be nuclear. No smoke. It's gonna be fucking crazy, crazy town.
I
This is,
can't
man.
think of anything. I can't. There's nothing positive that I can think of that could come from this. It's negative both ways. It's negative both ways. It
I
sucks.
hate to say it, but if it is negative both ways. I think the most net macro positive that could come out of that election will be Trump has referred to his presidency as reign. Hold on. That happens to me. Sorry. I got disconnected there. I can't do that. But he's referred to it as his reign, and when his reign ends, that 50% of the country is going to be so stoked for sure. For sure. And I think
Yeah. The
I
challenge with
I
that is
think
that
this
they'll be
mental
stoked. They'll be stoked, but they're going to be really disappointed when the person who put into action the crime bill enforces more police brutality than the Trump
Of
administration.
course, that's gonna be well, of course, you're totally right. However, man, like the psychic shackles that Trump has on so many people, that being lifted, oh, you're gonna have your genie being free moment for a lot of people. And I think that's a net positive. I do. I do for sure, man.
Is that a stimulus to the economy though?
I think it
That's the
can be. I think it can be.
that's an interesting. I mean,
The mental health of America has an a direct is directly has a direct proportion to the mental health of America has a direct proportion to the economy. Of course it does. How could it
I
not?
I don't benefit from a Biden election.
I mean, how, how have you been the past 4 years?
My life has changed positively.
I mean,
Like
you're an adult. You know what I mean? I mean that you're in your early 20s. Like, that's got to be pretty good. But if you had been growing up during Obama's reign, reign, his term, who knows how you
for
would have felt?
8 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can say this with
A lot of people got fat when Obama got elected, man. From my generation.
yeah, my parents weren't. That wasn't the case for my parents, but
Mm.
that also wasn't the case for the Bush administration or the Clinton administration. Like my family has not. My family has not moved up the socioeconomic ladder in that way.
I think a sound thing happened with you.
Did I disconnect?
Oh, you're
Am I back?
you're better. You're good now. You're good now.
I got a phone call. I had to decline the phone.
Oh, it's all good, man. I'm actually gonna have to take off in a bit. But
Okay.
okay, yeah, I was happy to jump on and talk to you, man. I love your vibes. There's a lot of things I want to talk about. Maybe not in public, but in regards to all the bullshit that's going on and all the craziness. And it's a wild time, man. It's a wild time for
Man,
anybody.
I have negative thoughts about it. I really have negative thoughts about it. I comprehend like the fact that if there's a if Trump serves another 4 years, there's the aspect of just an increased level of uncertainty and insecurity and everything going just to haywire. And I was just thinking about like how far out of the urban area do you have to get to where it's you don't experience you just find regular sane people that aren't necessarily doing doing that sort of doing that like because I feel like Georgetown as a place is open minded, but then again like I got this podcast set up between another this guy Thomas Chapman. He's a smack all of the dirty worms. I set up a podcast between him and the potential candidate for mayor here in Georgetown, and one of the things he said, Jonathan Dates said, was that there was a Confederate ball held in Georgetown,
Mm-hmm.
and he advised, he was like, hey, this is not a good look. Like he told them that's not a good look, and like what are all these people like dressed up as, and you think that there's going to be any sort of cultural inclusivity here? And the organizer was the now mayor's wife, and she was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Like that's the world we live in. The further you get out, the more into these rural areas, it's like it's not necessarily that it's an intended thing. It's kind of an ignorance thing. Not everybody comprehends it. Like don't they
Just doing
they
a
just
quick,
don't get it.
just doing a Georgetown, Texas, quick little statistics thing. It's 90% white.
Well, those numbers are a little bit off, but it's generally
That's
close. Yeah.
of that's of that's of July 1st, 2019.
Yeah, those numbers are not accurate. It might be just like that's a public thing. I think it's more predominantly Hispanic,
Really?
and then maybe 20% black. So it'll probably be like 40-40. I don't know. No, that's 40-40. Yeah, 40-40-20 maybe.
That's a hunch, right?
Yeah, there was a good amount of Hispanic people that I went to school with in high school.
That's the Census Bureau, though. I mean, they kind of got it.
But the Census Bureau doesn't necessarily go into the neighborhoods, you know. And now, even the Census Bureau, you have to volunteer to do it. Like you have to go online and do it yourself. You know, I wouldn't say it's not. You know, they do the census every
Would that
8 years
shock
or
you
something like
if
that.
Georgetown was 90% white? Would that shock you if that was the case?
I would say, where are they? Like, I would be like, well, there's a good amount of white people, but I would say I go out of town, I go out on town, and it's mostly Hispanics and whites and, you know, 20% black, you know.
Mhm.
There's always some African American black in the community. I think that's a diverse community. But I guess what they would be counting is maybe Sun City. So the retirement community is primarily white.
In Georgetown High School, it seems that there's like a 36% minorities. And so this goes back to about 70% white at the high school there.
I think that's changed. I would say it's not. I don't see it now. Maybe when I was a kid, but
That's from this year, April 2020, though.
I don't see it. I just don't. I don't see it
Mhm.
honestly. I see, but maybe maybe the numbers. Maybe that's the numbers. But I don't. I don't see that many fine ass white girls. You know what I mean?
That's not what that means, though.
But that's what it means. Like it would mean like, where are these white girls? Where are these white?
So you're saying there's more hot Hispanic and black girls than there are white girls in Georgetown? This doesn't sound like it's a
I
problem.
mean, I put it all together. If I look at it, I would say that that's not true. That's not true. But when I think of it, I say like one, three, four. That's about what I see. It
Same
means like
numbers.
for every four white girls that are good looking, there's three Hispanics and maybe one black girl.
I think
Like,
it's, I think it's worth saying that but the contents of their characters, you can't put a number on that. Am I right?
no, I
Women are
disagree. No, I
women are
disagree, man.
women are humans.
No, I don't agree with this take.
As long
I
as when
don't.
they, as long as when the
With
people,
this take.
as long as when the people who want to come after me to cancel me hear that this is Trent Knox's take and not mine,
I don't agree with this take.
women are human beings. I value them first off
Right.
of their vibe and intelligence first and foremost. Before I
That's interesting.
ever even contemplate their looks,
Attractiveness.
I don't
You can't.
reduce
You
I don't
there's
reduce
no.
women to their looks. Okay, I am a father of a young woman, young lady, young 6-year-old girl, and I resent your misogyny. God damn it, Trent! And so
Mm.
I'm gonna spit on your grave.
That's interesting. I don't have that perspective. I definitely take it from this perspective that, if we're all just trying to take away, if gender is a construct, okay. If all of these things are the case, like it's still appropriate to say whether someone is attractive or not, whether they're male, female, heterosexual, homosexual, whatever they are. If they look good, they look good. It's okay to say whether you look good. Okay. It's maybe not okay to say I want to fuck you, or I want to fall to your breasts or touch your ass or something like that. directly at someone. We can't be ridiculous. No, I'm not against. I'm
Just let
against
the record
that
show that
sort of.
I'm going to be compiling a list of links to send you that I think could help educate you on this matter. That's the policing that I'm going to be doing.
Okay,
For,
but
I'm going to
hear what
educate
I'm
you.
saying.
I
You
hate
hear
you
what
are
I'm
hurt.
saying?
You are hurt,
What
sir.
am I?
I heard you.
What did I
But
say? What is the content behind what I'm saying?
what
Context behind what I'm saying.
What you're saying in a nutshell is you don't want to grab him by the pussy. I get it.
What I said.
Okay.
No, what is the context behind what I'm saying? Because I feel like a lot of people do this where it's like,
Okay, explain yourself. Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like it's something that we shouldn't be doing. We shouldn't be going around saying that if a man says anything generally about women, it's wrong. If a woman says anything generally about men, it's wrong. We can't be doing that. We can't do that. Okay.
Amen. Amen. I got to be going, man.
Sure.
Like you did tipping out, you can't, like, that's the thing. Like, you have to acknowledge what is being said. It's not. I'm not saying, oh, this is going to be super stupid, but Sally, has great titties or something like that, and then I'm saying to Sally in behind closed doors in a DM, like, hey, you got great tits. Even though I have done this before, I'm not gonna, I don't know, not Sally particularly, but and then being like, I'm gonna rape you or something. I've never done that before. Never said I'm gonna rape you. Let's put that on the record. I don't think rape is a funny thing to joke about. But the thing is that it's a two-way street. If women are going to objectify men by saying fucking David Hasselhoff is looking great, or who's the singer for um 30
Bradley
Seconds to Mars or
Cooper.
whatever, Bradley Cooper, right?
Bradley
Objectify men in that way, that they say they're the sexiest men alive or something like that. Well, maybe People magazine should stop saying top 10 sexiest men alive, because that's objectifying. That's sexual harassment. That's the extremes that I'm hearing your take. And maybe that's not your take, but it's like that's the sort of rhetoric I don't agree with. Whereas I think it's okay to say someone's attractive, top 10, whatever. It's the people who are most frustrated with that that are below 10s, or not below 10s, but the top 10. The people who end up in the bottom 10 are the rest of the people. I'm not in the top 10. I'm not in the top 10. I wasn't in the top 10% of my class. So I definitely think, but I comprehend the power, the ranking system, and I'm not against it. I'd love to be in the top 10. Maybe someone in that top 10 will die. They'll die, and I get to be number 9. Just because they breed out the people that are just not that attractive, and I become, in the top 10 of attractive people. We got to look at this thing from a scientific perspective. We can't look at it from, this stupid cultural, emotional, nonsensical, non-reality based perception. People are attractive, they're sexual, you know, you procreate by having sex. This channel is not for children, and it is indicated on YouTube that it's not for children. So, I mean, if you're an advertiser who wants to work with someone who's an adult, then we can do that. But for all those people out there that are working with the children, that is what it is. They gotta play this bullshit.
Your name is Trent Knox. Those are your words, and you are sticking to it. Woo! Wait,
Well, thank you,
what a way to close this show, Trent Knox.
Cases, or for coming on and voicing, uh, having this conversation with me, and we didn't really get to talk. You didn't get to talk much about your 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 show that I was doing a reaction on, but it's really cool to have the actual producer, director, screenwriter on the show to have to do the reaction for in front of them, with them on the show. So
Yeah, my
appreciate
pleasure,
it.
man. My pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. It's all of it. All of it was mine. Thanks for having me on.
All of it was mine. That's so cute. All right,
Thanks,
talk to you
brother.
soon.
Talk to
Bye.
you soon. Thanks so much. You're the man.